What's up, everyone? What's up? Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to the live stream. Hope everyone has had a good week. Hope you guys had a good week, right? Um, for me, just another week, right? Nothing special, nothing special. Um, but I miss you guys. I miss you guys. All right. So we are going to have an interesting live stream tonight. We are going to be reacting to Steven Crowder's bringing back his change my mind, right? Change my mind. What you call it? I guess change my mind videos, right? So bringing back to campuses and outdoors to you know uh to go about and debate people. You know what? Like, I think I would say this, right? Crowder's work has changed my mind thing was, I think, a catalyst in pretty much, it helped, right? It helped me go down this road where now I try to be as logical as I can. I try to be more I try to be, more, yeah, like I said, I try to be more logical. I try to be do a bit more critical thinking, and how I like debating and or sharing point of views. He pretty much started, right? And I think he's very influential in me going down this path. I mean, not 100%, but he helped my mindset in creating this channel, right? So yeah, very influential for me. But before we do, right, I have some TikTok videos that I want to react to before we watch the Crowder one, right? So let's check it out. Let's check out some TikToks. Let's check out some TikToks. All right, let's check out these videos.
Men fear matriarchy because they assume that the women in charge would treat them the same way they treat us. Men fear matriarchy because they assume that the women in charge would treat them the same way they treat us. Men fear matriarchy because they assume that the women in charge would treat them the same way they treat us.
She talks so low, right? It's ridiculous. Okay, so she said men fear the matriarchy because men men fear that women would treat men the same way men treat women. First, men don't give a shit. Men are not thinking about the matriarchy. To be honest, I think in today's climate, women think about politics, women think about government more than men do. And to be honest, I think substantially more, insanely more. So men are not thinking about socialism. Men aren't thinking about matriarchy, patriarchy, cap. Men are not thinking about that. Right? Men are just living. It's like it's women who are insanely into politics, crazy, crazy into politics. Um, so men aren't thinking about matriarchy and all that stuff. But here's the thing: where, in all honesty, okay, one, men are not scared about a matriarchy because you cannot you cannot hold on to any kind of government, any type of ideology without the force of men, right? Without the enforcement of men. So you cannot change, let's say, a government, let's say a dictatorship to like I don't know, a republic or a democratic nation without the backing of men, the force that men contribute. So right there, why would men care about a matriarchy when you have to use men to get anything done? Second, in my honest opinion, I believe women would be no better than men with how they treat men. Right? You can see it how society is. I believe in society right now, women have a lot of power. A lot of power. Now, maybe not equal to the top, right, powerful men, but average women have more power than average men, in my opinion, especially socially. And you see how they treat men. They look down on men. They look down on men. They insult men. They view men as invisible or less than. You look at the climate today. Women don't treat men that well. Women don't treat men that well, and they definitely have some power. So imagine if they have absolute power. I 100% believe that absolute power corrupts absolutely. So I will only think that women will only get worse with actual power. Plus, again, women won't gain power unless men allow it, unless men are backing it. So, yeah, men don't care. All right, let's check this one out.
What they want is the masculine packaging,
Correct.
but they want to change what's inside.
They're yearning for a quote blue collar guy who is liberal.
It sort of creates this caricature that doesn't exist. You probably all listen to like Tyler Childers.
Yeah.
And
What is that yearning though? What is that yearning where you actually have to check off that biological angst, like not angst, like yearning for a guy who's a guy, but at the same time, you don't want to tell your girlfriends that your boyfriend remotely likes Trump.
there are a lot of stories about women who get off their birth control and are suddenly not attracted to their partners anymore. And the reason is birth control is a hormonal disruptor. It manipulates your natural hormonal balance and probably makes feminized men more attractive.
They want like Phil Dunphy's politics, but in a guy who looks like Zach Bryan. And you're not going to get it.
No, in the case of Zach Bryan, you're going to get like a raving drunk.
Yeah.
Enjoy it or
Yeah.
leave. Someone who like grew up in the woods, like hunting and fishing and driving trucks. My first car was a 2002 Ford F-150. The Hicklib phenomenon is primarily driven by a childless cat lady.
Yeah.
What they want is the masculine packaging.
Correct.
I will say this, right? Women have gotten what they wanted. Modern day women, liberal women, feminist women, democratic women, whatever. They have gotten the men that they want. Stats have shown that testosterone in men have been going down, right? Men are less aggressive, men are less dominant, men are less assertive. Men are not, there are studies that show that men are not as violent comparatively as men of the past. This is what women wanted, right? Women want men to be more, in touch with their femininity, more emotional, more emotionally intelligent, because I believe men are more emotionally intelligent than any men in the past. So again, this is what women want, and you are seeing it. You are seeing the results because, more and more men are more in touch with their emotions. They're not your stereotypical old school men. Well, we will see if this is what women want. Because here's the thing. Women have said for years, for decades, men are violent. I hate stoic men. Men are not emotionally intelligent. Men are not in touch with their femininity. Men this, men that. Well, okay. Now you got it. Hope you like it. That's it. And to be honest, I don't think women do. This is why there was a guy who said that, don't go by what women say, go by what women do. And the sad part is that mindset is effing up with men. It's confusing men. And the repercussion is, I think, far reaching, where men are changing, right? Being less, macho or masculine, right? Toxic masculinity, right? Men are less going into those areas, right? And now thinking that, I'm trying to be what women want. More feminine or more touched by emotions, more emotionally intelligent, more emotionally expressive. Well, now you're getting it. And women, I believe, are not liking it. They say it. They say this is what they want. And then men give it to them. Well, women are finding out that they actually don't like it. Because here's the thing, the insanity, because this is insanity that women want blue collar liberal men. So they want men that are macho, right? Macho looking men. I don't know, men that works with their hands, whatever. And then those same men to be feminists. Again, women don't understand the insanity, the confusion they're doing. They want masculine men to also be in touch with their femininity. Do you not understand the insanity that you are doing? It's like you want, let's say, I don't know, you want a rich guy with the mentality of a poor guy. Like, you want opposites to be in one body. And that's the insanity of it. And that's the notion that women want perfection. It's I believe, a slippery road that women are going on. And here's the consequences of what women are doing.
I was mistaken for a trans woman at work today. I wear pigtails sometimes at work. I put my hair up like this and I wear pigtails. I have some videos of me in pigtails, but I just do it because it's like, I work at Claire's and it's like fun and cutie or whatever, and I'm just like dolling up and like being fun. So I'm wearing pigtails and I'm also wearing like some tight pants, okay, and I'm wearing like this sweater. And this girl comes in who is a trans girl, by the way. That's relevant to the story. I'm not just saying that, but she comes in and we're like talking and she's like telling me about her day, and I'm like, oh, like, do you live around? Like, are you like local? And she was like, no, I'm here for work. I was like, oh, what do you do for work? She was like, I'm in tech. And I was like, oh my gosh, in tech, like, I don't know if I could do that. I'm not smart enough for that. She was like, you can do anything you put your mind to, girl. I was like, okay, queen. Like, I was just like, okay, like, that's like, people call each other girl sometimes, like, okay, word. So I was like, yeah, like, yeah, so true, you know, like, just like going along with it. I thought it was like just casual slang that I didn't fully understand because I'm not with the times. But then I was wrong, because she came up to the counter and we're like talking, and she got a bunch of earrings and like some necklaces and stuff, and she was like, it's so nice that girls like us can just like buy feminine things like this now. And I was like, what do you mean? And she was like, you know, like, how long have you been on estrogen? And I was like, I'm not. And she was like, oh, pre-transition, no worries, like, we all start somewhere. And I was like, no, like, I'm a boy. And she was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I really thought you were a trans woman. Look at me putting stereotypes onto you. Like, that's so insensitive. I'm so sorry. I thought you were like a not that passing trans woman. And I was like, oh, no. No, I'm just a man. I'm sorry. Like, now I felt like the dumb, like, guy. You know, I was just like some guy after, like, being perceived as this beautiful trans woman on my journey. And that's just not me. And it almost made me feel less than that I wasn't a trans woman. I'm like, maybe I should try. Just kidding. I know it's not a choice. I'm sorry. I needed to share that because I'm still processing it. It's like, okay, maybe I am a little too effeminate sometimes. Maybe the pigtails were a little much with the tight pants. But that is something that happened to me today. For the record, not a trans woman as far as I know. If I do make that discovery, you guys will be the first people I tell. Because that would be something you guys would need to know. But as of right now, I'm still a man. Thank you. I was mistaken.
And this is the world that women have created. This is the world that women are engineering. The confusion women are bringing into the world. I don't know what this is, right? And this is liberal men. This is liberal men right here. And then you want this man, blue collar, right? Your stereotypical blue collar man. But this mindset, it's like, what are women doing to men? What are women doing to men? It's next level. I mean, I don't know. But this is the results, right? This is the result of women's actions. This is what women want. More effeminate men, more emotional men, right? More men that are more liberal minded. Well, this right here is what women are forced to be attracted to then, right? This is what women will have. These are the type of men that women are going to have to date because they have created these types of men.
Something missing from the conversation. When we discuss misogyny, I think something missing from the conversation a lot of the time is that a lot of misogyny by cis-het men is actually driven by jealousy that they're not beautiful women too. I see this all the time. For example, I was just walking at Trader
Men are jealous of women. Men are jealous of women. This is why you can see you can see this, right? Compare this to the last one, okay? And this is the ideology that women are. Wait a minute. You can see the comparison, right? Women like this created men like that. Women like this created men like that. That is what she will have to date. Those are the men that she will have to date. Oh, men, cis men are jealous of women. Yeah, men want to be women. And then you wonder why the trans movement is so, I don't know, it seems like a big boom, right? It seems like a big boom.
Joe's. Me and some other woman I weren't with were passing by, and these two guys see us. One says loudly to his friend so that we could hear. He goes, "Bro, some girls think that they're way more gorgeous than they really are." Well, first of all, thank you for using the word gorgeous. You could have just used pretty, but you let us know how you really feel. Also, who does that? I think you want to be a baddie. I think a lot of you do, and you can change your life at any moment. I also don't really have time.
Could you now? So it's a choice, right? It's not something you're born with. It's a choice you can change. You can change at any moment. Okay. And I mean, to be honest, I admit it was weird. Why, like, he's trying to humble strangers. Okay.
To get into like how wrong they are. A lot of men think, oh, life as a beautiful young woman is so easy. Hey, being treated as a sex object is not the same as having rights, because rights aren't conditional. They're not conditional on the fact that men will see you as an object to experience, okay? It does not come with care. It does not come with respect. It does not come with being cherished. You have rights, and that is what's different. So I think a lot of them need to do some inward look.
We all have rights. What? Okay, I'll let it play. And now, yeah, I'll break it down.
If you're secure with yourself and you see a bad bitch, you think, I love what she's doing, or I love what he's doing, or I love what they're doing. You don't go, I'm gonna tear them down. Unrelated, kind of, but I saw the most beautiful man at Trader Joe's. This always happens to me, you know. I'll see a beautiful person. I'll be like, this is the most beautiful person I'll see at Trader Joe's, and then I see another one, and that's what happened to me. And I've been working on making better eye contact with them, you know, to let them know, hello, I see you. So as he was walking by, I did, and I was like, oh my God, he's more beautiful up close. We love it. That is how you react to someone's beauty, okay? You don't go, I'm gonna loudly tear them down. So I guess I was wearing the perfect outfit for it. You know, you do wish, ho. And you can change at any moment. You could turn your wishes into a reality. Stop taking out your jealousy on us. When we discuss misogyny,
One, I don't think that's misogyny, because calling a woman, right, that I guess he was trying to humble her in a way. But I wouldn't call that hate towards women. I wouldn't call that hate. So I think that's ridiculous. Let's break it down.
missing from the conversation a lot of the time is that a lot of misogyny by cis-het men is actually driven by jealousy that women
This is a thing where it's like women seem to not understand words. Not understand words. One, misogyny, the hate of women. Okay. Please understand it. Jealousy, you know, you want something that you don't have, in a sense. I don't know, I forgot the exact definition, but it's essentially that, right? You want something that you don't have. A man saying that, a man, I guess, in a sense that trying to humble you, I wouldn't say that he wants to be you. Because if he thinks that you are not as gorgeous as you think you are, being you does what for him? Now, if he thought you were gorgeous, yeah, okay, maybe he does want to be someone like you. Maybe he wants to be you. Okay. But if he doesn't think you're all that good looking, wanting to be you does not help him that much. Now, if this is what she's wearing, yeah, I mean, you know, pink hair, little wacky makeup. Okay, I can see why. Maybe in the sense that he's more commenting on how crazy you're trying to be.
I see this all the time. For example, I was just walking at Trader Joe's. Me and some other woman I weren't with were passing by, and these two guys see us. One says loudly to his friend so that we could hear. He goes, "Bro, some girls think that they're way more gorgeous than they really are." Well, first of all, thank you for using the word gorgeous. You could have just used pretty.
Well, I mean, I don't know if he necessarily, maybe not talking about you. I don't know.
But you let us know how you really feel. Also, who does that? I think you want to be a baddie. I think a lot of you do, and you can change your life at any moment. I also don't really have time to get into like how wrong they are. A lot of men think, oh, life as a beautiful young woman is so easy. Hey, being treated as a sex object is not the same as having rights.
Here's the thing where I sometimes I find women funny in that way, where treated like a sex object, but when in turn you also treat yourself as a sex object. I mean, more women than ever are in the sex industry. More women than ever.
Because rights aren't conditional. They're not conditional on the fact that men will see you as an object to experience, okay? It does not come with care. It does not come with respect. It does not come with being cherished.
Okay, but men don't have those either, right? Men are not cherished. Men are not respected. What do you? It's like this is the idiocy of a lot of women. Men don't have those either. Who's cherishing men? Who is respecting men? Not women.
You have rights, and that is what's different. So I think
Having rights, you have rights as well. Here's the thing where I'm not saying being treated like a sex object is a good thing. But again, treating like a sex object, you already have your rights. Now you treat it like a sex object. Now you're being pedestalized, right? You're being put on a pedestal. People want you. Now, good or bad, still, people want you. So they will go a lot of times above and beyond to have you. Now, yes, it's like a sexual object, but still, they will treat you better than if they don't want you. While for men feel that all the time. You don't want them. Men know it. You're treating them like, this is something like, maybe it's a double-edged sword, right? Women are desired like sex objects, while men are ignored like useless trash. I mean, you pick your poison.
a lot of them need to do some inward looking. If you're secure with yourself and you see a bad bitch, you think, I love what she's doing, or I love what he's doing, or I love what they're doing. You don't go, I'm going to tear them down to my unrelated.
This is the thing, right? We have created a generation of egotistical women. Egotistical women. You are no close to being a bad bee. No, you're average. Average at best, but your pink hair, you're trying so much. Average at best, right? Average at best. We have too many women thinking they're tens, thinking they're goddesses, they're queens, they're angels, they're bad bees. You're not. You're not. It's like really ridiculous.
Kind of, but I saw the most beautiful man at Trader Joe's. This always happens to me, you know. I'll see a beautiful person, I'll be like, this is the most beautiful person I'll see at Trader Joe's, and then I see another one, and that's what happened to me. And I've been working on making better eye contact with them, you know, to let them know hello. I see you. So as he was walking by, I did, and I was like, oh my God, he's even more beautiful up close. We love it. That is how you react to someone's beauty, okay? You don't go, I'm gonna loudly
Is that not objectifying him? Right? Is that not objectifying him? His beauty? Essentially, maybe sexually objectifying him. I mean, attraction you can equate to sexualizing, but at least you're objectifying him. You are admiring something that's purely superficial. Objectification.
tear them down. So I guess I was wearing the perfect outfit for it. You know, you do wish, ho. And you can change at any moment. You could turn your wishes into a reality.
Calling someone a hoe is like, okay. I find it, again, just kind of hypocritical, right? With women, where you can call other people hoes. And yet you will find it insulting if men will call you that.
Stop taking out your jealousy on us. When we discuss the
Yeah. Okay.
Look,
Senator,
we're fighting for people's health care. That's what this is all about.
so, Senator, Republicans say what you're really fighting for is taxpayer dollars for, as they put it, illegal aliens. I know that's not strictly true, but there is a provision.
Excuse me, not strictly true.
It's not true directly, but
flat-out lie. It is a flat-out lie.
The way that they frame it.
There is nothing in Medicare that permits one undocumented immigrant to get $1 of assistance.
Senator, if you'd let me finish the question.
Of course,
Senator,
I'm sorry.
Sorry, in the Democratic counteroffer, the proposal for funding, there is a restoration of Medicaid benefits for certain non-citizens that it had been taken away in the big, beautiful bill, as the Republicans put it. Republicans don't think those people should be getting health care on the taxpayer dime. I'm not asking on the merits. Politically, putting that in there exposes you to this talking point, this lie, as you put it. Why put it in there? Why is it worth it?
No, what's happened is that what we're saying is that whenever hospitals give care, what is going to be the level of reimbursement? And the Republicans said it's going to be a low level. The Democrats said we just want to go back to the level it was before because you're going to bankrupt hospitals. You're going to put rural hospitals out of business. The Republicans and the Democrats plan, nothing changes the number of undocumented immigrants who still get care if they show up bleeding and unconscious at an emergency room. There is absolutely zero difference. The difference is whether or not hospitals, who under laws that date back to Ronald Reagan, may provide emergency care to anyone who's unconscious.
I get it. You should be treating anyone, but why is the government paying for it? Why is the government paying for it? At the end of the day, these people need to pay for it. I'm sorry. Particularly, you're not supposed to be here. You are an illegal immigrant. You are not meant to be here. Literally, she's not even answering really that. It's like, go bankrupt? Hospitals, you shouldn't, like, this is the thing. These people shouldn't be here for hospitals to be treating. That's the thing. And now that you are forcing, it seems like Democrats are trying to bankrupt hospitals. Because now you are forcing hospitals to treat these patients. When, honestly, these patients should have never been here. In my honesty, one of the things I hate about the government is that, and here's the thing why Charlie Kirk hated the civil rights. Not because, he didn't hate the civil rights. But why did he hate that? Why did he say he thought the civil rights was a mistake? It's because of how government does shit. They make stacks upon stacks of whole lot of words, right? Why not just have one page direct? They don't, because they want to put nuances. They want to put other provisions in it. They want to put, footnotes or all this other shit, all this other BS. So it could be very nuanced, very vague, so they can work around shit. Oh, you know what? Oh, this stacks and stacks of words, right? A whole bunch of words. And then, illegal immigrants can get care through, through taxpayers' money. What? Why? It's like, why you put all these other shit and then boom, stick that in there too? Because they want to do that shit. And that is why Charlie Kirk said the Civil Rights Act wasn't right. It wasn't a good thing in the sense that how it was done. It should have, I think he said, not exactly, right? I don't remember quote for quote. He said the Civil Rights Act should have said, you cannot discriminate anyone based on their race. That is it. That is it. Nothing else. None of the fluff and all this stuff, because now they could use the Civil Rights Act to, let's say, protect trans people, to be in women's bathrooms, to be in women's sports. It wasn't meant for that. Because they didn't have that thought, oh, let me protect men trying to be women, trying to go into women's safe spaces. That's why Charlie Kirk said what he said. Because here's the thing, the shadiness of the government is how they write these shit. They make it so complicated. What is it? This is where I'm critical with Trump too. What, the big beautiful bill? What is it like? It has over 100 pages or something shit like that. I don't know, but I know it had a lot of pages. And what the fuck? Okay, it's like, boil it down. Like a page, sign that. Another one, sign that. Because you put so much stack on stack to be one whole thing. Now you have to read this whole shit and find out like, oh, what is wrong? What is right? It's like, that shit is annoying. That's one thing I hate about the government.
Will actually get reimbursed at a very low level that will put the hospital ultimately out of business potentially, or at a higher level. The Republicans, there is no change in the number of undocumented immigrants who get any help under what the Democrats want. Look,
Senator,
what we're looking for is help for people who are going to get pushed out of nursing homes.
Senator,
help for people who...
Why would we care about illegal immigrants being in nursing homes?
We're at home and relying on home health aides. That's
Senator,
what this fight is about.
I appreciate your expansion on that issue, and I appreciate the
look,
Senator,
I just hate the hypocrisy. I hate the idiocy. I really do. I've said this before. I always believe America first. America first. Why are we not focusing on our citizens? The money that could go to, supporting, helping, healing, whatever, illegal immigrants should be going to Americans first. Now, once the majority of Americans are fine and dandy, then yes, you can focus on other shit, right? You could care about, you can care about, I don't know, other, now you can care about the Middle East, you can care about Ukraine, you can care about illegal immigrants. So right now, I think Democrats are useless Americans. I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, let's get started. Let's get started. All right, so let's react to this Steven Crowder bringing back Change My Mind. I love this. I loved when he did it. Yeah, it was definitely the inspiration to Charlie Kirk, and I love it.
However, I felt led, compelled even, to bring it back. Voices like ours, and I mean ours, can't be silenced. And I say this to you watching on the left. made me do this. I didn't necessarily want to, and everyone told me that this, in today's climate, could not be done unless I took unbelievable precautions, unless it was absolutely kept a secret until mere hours before the event as a pop-up, unless I literally brought an army with me and bulletproofed the entire radius, which is exactly what we did. And so today, for the first time in many years, Change My Mind returns, and back to one of the places where it all began, Southern Methodist University in Dallas, Texas. Today's subject is plain and simple. The left is violent. Will anybody be able to change my mind? Thank you, Christina, for sitting down.
One more time.
Stephen.
Yes. Okay.
So I'll take that. I mean, you're not maybe super familiar with what we do with these this series. Let me just kind of clarify what it is. First, I'll tell you what it's not. It's not gotcha. It's not clickbait. This is not meant to be, or it won't be used to clip into some kind of a dunk or something to just foment people espousing the same rhetoric on one side. It will be uploaded contextually in its entirety, where hopefully we have a productive discussion, and we rationalize our positions, reason them on controversial topics. Before I get to the premise of today, could you do me a favor just so we can find some common ground?
Yeah.
This is what's being cited right now quite a bit. Just the definition of political violence. I want to make sure we both agree on it.
Political violence are criminal complaints, indictments, and court records looking for crimes that seek a socio-political change or to communicate to outside audience.
And I'll summarize it. That's the technical description from the source cited.
Yeah.
It's violence as a tool being used toward a political end. In other words, just because you vote Democrat or because you vote Republican, if you accidentally hit someone with your car and commit manslaughter, that's not political violence. If you vote Democrat, but let's say you go out and run someone over because of their politics, that would be political violence. Do we agree on that?
I think I can agree with you on that.
Okay,
yes.
Good. So the premise today is that particularly today in 2025, by and large, the political violence is coming from the left. It's not proportionate with that on the right. That's the reason for the security that you see today that's very net.
I 100% believe that. You know, even not today, I felt the hostility. I felt the ugliness, the toxicity of the left ever since Donald Trump's first term. And even though I didn't vote for Trump his first term, and I didn't necessarily agree with him, but I saw the hypocrisy, I saw the hate, I saw the ugliness, the toxicity of the left. And I'm like, okay, aren't you the party that's supposed to like love and care, and I mean like care about your government, care about your your country? And to be honest, they are just become vitriol. And then they made Trump. Yes, Trump wasn't that great of a president, particularly his first term, but they made him out to be like the next Hitler. And I'm like, the man did nothing on Hitler's level. They made him out our government. Even this is the thing where the president will never be a dictator. The president never has 100% control, but yet they constantly call him a fascist, constantly call him like a dictator, like an Adolf Hitler. He wasn't. He's not. He's done nothing even close to what fascists have done, or someone like Hitler has done. So that's where I saw I saw the writing on the wall. I switched side. You see it now. Like, oh, popular social media is like, oh, I'm done being a Democrat and stuff like that. I was like that years ago because I just felt like the left was honestly just a disgusting group of people. They were hypocrites. They were delusionals. They were just absolutely not what they tout themselves to be.
Necessary. And it's a problem that's reaching a boiling point that may not be sustainable. If you disagree with me, you're welcome to change my mind.
I don't know if I can change your mind, because here's the thing. When I see the sign that says the left is violent, and you talked about how it's not proportional, and I would love to see your statistics about that, because we could make the same statement about the right very easily, right? Like we could say that was it just a month or two ago that the Democratic lawmakers were shot, and that was like, all right. I think our bigger problem is that the
Talk about the Hortmans in Minnesota, right?
Right, yeah, because she was a senator and her husband was also killed, and like, you know, that was done by the right, whatever. But
It wasn't, but continue.
oh, that wasn't a
No.
It wasn't a conservative or.
No, that's why I used the example that I did. The person, Vance Bolter, who committed it, specifically said it had nothing to do with politics, and he left a letter reasoning it, saying that Tim Walz had ordered him to carry a hit out on people. So he was very clear that it wasn't in the name of politics. That's someone who happened to be, on some issues, Republican, on some issues, Democrat. And he was appointed by a Tim Walz administration. So that was not done in the name of political violence. He said Tim Walz ordered him to assassinate somebody who was out of his mind. But I'd like you to continue with the example.
Sure. And let's say, okay, so he wasn't right. That's fine.
No, it wasn't political violence.
It wasn't political. Oh, it didn't count as political violence.
Based on the definition you agreed to, right?
Yeah. And I think a lot of it too is there's so many things happening. It's actually really hard to get all the facts about everything.
Sure.
And our media is when they make these statements or they start to postulate about an event, and it will become political before we've even fully fleshed everything out. You know, like.
Could you give me an example?
Well, like the shooting that happened at the church yesterday, I haven't seen enough. I don't know. Have you seen any media on it yet? I'm curious to know what the media is saying
quite a bit
about it, and I want to know if how are they characterizing it?
Yeah, the media isn't characterizing. Even I will say this, even on the left and the right, they're not really characterizing that as political violence.
Okay.
Because it was a guy who really seemed to harbor ill will toward the Mormon Church. So it's pretty hard to categorize it as political violence when the targets were largely conservative, and the man who carried out the action seems like he might be a Republican. But I think we could pick a more clear example, a multitude of them. The reason we're here, and I don't think you would argue that this is unnecessary, the assassination in cold blood is an act of terrorism of Charlie Kirk. Is that political violence? You seem so confident on the Hortmans, but not Charlie Kirk.
I would say, I was just thinking.
It's 100% political. 100%. It's like, what else would you? It's like, okay, it's either you hated Charlie because he was religious. He pushed religious values towards, the right. It was 100% political in nature.
Thinking about your question. Yeah, I mean, probably because he was like Turning Point USA is a conservative organization, right? That's meant to try and rally young conservatives and be involved. And so, yeah, I would probably agree that his death was political, or his murder, assassination was politically violent. But I guess I just have a hard time reconciling that with, we can say that the senator and her husband being killed wasn't political, but...
I'll tell you exactly why. I'll tell you exactly why. Because the express motive of the terrorist who assassinated Charlie Kirk was politics. He killed him because he said he's one of those hateful conservative right-wingers. The rhetoric that he espoused, the reason that he killed Charlie Kirk, was to take out someone of his political persuasion and make others of his political persuasion afraid to express their opinions. The man who assassinated, which I roundly condemn, Vance Bolter, the Hortmans, did not do it as a means to a political end. Charlie Kirk was assassinated. He is not an elected official solely because of his political perspective as a method.
I thought it was. I don't know. I mean, maybe. I haven't. When it first came out, it sounded like he voted. It sounded like, again, I'm nothing back up. It's just like early reports was the guy killed those Democrats because the Democrats voted against some kind of gay initiative or whatever, right? Some kind of a bill that other Democrats, wanted to vote for or something. Okay, so they were the dissenting vote. That's what I heard. So, I thought it was more political, but I thought how it sound, right? How it was made sound. It was more political towards Democrats, but Democrats that didn't follow in line with other Democrats. So I thought it's basically you killing Republicans, right? Because they're voting against you. But here you're doing it against Democrats who are still voting against you, okay? Because again, there's some Democrats that, you know, don't vote the same way as other Democrats. So that's what I heard and that's what I thought, but maybe I was wrong.
To instill terror in the populace.
Yeah.
How do I know? Because a person said it was political violence.
Okay, what if we just don't even have enough information, though? Like, what if it is politically motivated and we just don't have enough to know about it yet?
In that case, we do.
You know, well, not in this particular instance, but I just mean, like, with the Hortons you mentioned.
Okay, well, let's separate the gray area.
Okay.
Right? That's why I kind of start with the example. Just because you, I would assume, let's say, vote Democrat or Republican, just because you commit a crime doesn't make it political violence. I mean, if we did that, we'd have 90% of the crime being committed on behalf of the Democrat Party because most people in inner cities vote Democrat. I don't consider that to be political violence. People have political beliefs, and people commit violence. Sometimes they rob a store because they want money. People who commit political violence do so specifically to instill fear in political opposition. They specifically commit violence as a means to a political end.
Okay.
And when we categorize it that way, it's overwhelmingly coming from the left. We do have the sources here that we make this available, so you can take the QR code. So what would make you, because you seem very confident that the Hortmans was political violence, and then it's nuanced with Charlie Kirk. Why?
Oh, I didn't say it was nuanced at all with Charlie Kirk. I agreed with you after considering your question that it was a political.
If that doesn't constitute political violence that could be answered in the affirmative immediately, of course, what would? Like, what would be required to say, oh, this is clearly an act of political violence or political terrorism, if not Charlie Kirk?
I agreed that it was political violence, so I'm not sure where this question's coming from.
Well, I'm saying because you came in and pointed to an example that would be in the gray area, the Hortmans, and took a long time to agree with that premise of Charlie Kirk. And so what if we don't know enough information? So Charlie Kirk would be very clear left-wing political violence.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Sure.
Great.
Yes.
So there are more examples of that coming from the left than the right. That's the
right.
premise, yes.
Okay. So you're saying clear examples of political violence. I
Yes.
hear you using clear
Violence carried out as a means to a political end.
So you.
Thank you. Use your delusion. I love your name. I love that. I'm a big whatchamacallit? I love to combat delusions, right? That's my thing. That's my goal. I love to combat delusions, so I love that. Use your delusion. Thank you, my brother. Thank you. Thank you for stopping by.
So there's clear information, data that shows us that the left is violent or is more violent than the right.
Yes. Not only in crime statistics, but also in the polling after Charlie Kirk's death. Now, I believe that you're discussing this in good faith, and I would assume that you roundly condemn political violence of all stripes.
Of course.
So do I. Just to be clear, I think we both are. That's why we're sitting at a table having a conversation.
Right.
Do you identify as more liberal or conservative?
I like to think I'm moderate because.
Really? I'm sorry. I'm being stereotypical, right? I'm being stereotypical. But looking at this woman, I would have guessed she was like far left. I'm sorry. That's what I would look at. I mean, I know I'm being stereotypical, so that is on me, right? That is on me. But it's like, she looks like someone that would be, at least the left, not moderate.
I hold some conservative views and some liberal views.
Okay.
And I wish we could have a little bit more moderation in our country.
Like sitting down and having discussions?
Exactly.
Okay.
Like things like this.
Because we get killed for it anyway.
Right. Yeah.
And only the right. Only the right gets killed for this anyway. You're seeing the one that got through.
But here's the thing. Even the left doesn't do this. The left doesn't really... have I ever seen any? I've never seen the left purposely go out and debate people. I don't think I've ever seen it. Now, they may do it, I don't know, online, I guess. Like Destiny or what is it? The four white kids, Dean and all the other kids. They may do it online. They don't go out and debate people.
The reason I stopped doing this for years is because every single time out was a violent attack. Sometimes it was a rock. Sometimes it was a milkshake, could be concrete, acid, chocolate, vanilla, I don't know. Doxing, firebombings, Molotov cocktails. Maya Angelou spoke at SMU only a few years before my first time here, didn't need this kind of security. And you can see it if you observe your speakers here. And I'll tell you why that is. If you look at the polls post-assassination of Charlie Kirk, and you label yourself as a moderate, those who identify as liberal support political violence at a ratio of 6-1 to conservatives. The YouGov poll said, is political violence acceptable? 77% of conservatives said not at all. Only 38% of those on the left said not at all. 62% of those on the left said somewhat to completely acceptable.
What I just saw this thing where the guy. I mean, I don't know if you guys seen it. Charlie Kirk went to the UK to debate, bunch of college kids, university kids. One of the people he debated on that, I think it was a president of Cambridge. I mean, student council, whatever. He said he was glad Charlie Kirk got killed, and he said he wished more of it. These people are disgusting.
We see the same stats after the attempted assassination of Donald Trump. We see the same stats after the firebombings of the Tesla dealership. And we see the same stats on the opposite side, those on the right roundly condemning political violence. The lowest you'll find is 72. You usually find it in the high 80s. You will not find a number that breaks half on the left.
Okay, you mentioned Donald Trump. Can we jump to that for just a minute?
Donald Trump, sure. I assumed we would.
Well, because I thought that guy was a registered Republican, and then he donated the guy who attempted to assassinate Donald Trump. I'm sorry, I'm really terrible at names.
Crooks.
Yeah, that he was a registered Republican. So would you consider him a act of violence on the on the right?
I would consider the attempted assassination of a presidential nominee political violence. Yes.
Yes.
I don't know if you know this. There are a lot of people on the right who don't like Donald Trump.
Yes, I do know a few of them. Yeah.
Political violence isn't just Republican, Democrat. That's why I say left versus right.
Okay.
Those on the right are more routinely targets, and it's very blatant. People can say he was a registered Republican. That doesn't change the fact that it was an act of political violence carried out against Donald Trump, who's a conservative.
Yes.
Republican, whatever term you want to use.
Well, I guess, but if the argument is the left is violent, and I'm just thinking about this guy's, political background from the person. I hear what you're saying, that the right is targeted more often.
Yeah, we're the victims of political violence.
More often, and
much more.
So, would you classify that specific incident as violence of the right or of the left?
Well, the target is the right. The target was Donald Trump. So the net result is the same. We are often the targets of violence.
Yeah, but the left,
including someone who may be a moderate Republican. Yeah, the left is still overwhelmingly violent. And I point to those polls that you can peruse from YouGov, from Reuters, not bastions of conservatism, along with the rhetoric since then. Here's the one thing that you can't point me to. And we can go through the stats. And I know you've probably heard from those on the left that actually there's more right-wing political violence. They're often circulating that right now. I can disabuse you of that notion relatively quickly. I think we'd find common ground there. You still can't point me to an example that is comparable on the right of Charlie Kirk, someone who was not an elected official, a public figure who was really notable for nothing more than expressing his opinion and having conversations, who was assassinated in cold blood and then gleefully celebrated thereafter from the left. And I hope that as someone who's moderate, you understand why that's so concerning to us on the right. When we host vigils and memorials, and the left is so completely fearless of their own consequences that they kill one of ours and show up to the memorials and vigils and desecrate and vandalize. That is the information that creates the powder keg.
Yeah.
And that's the mindset that I was done. That's the mindset that, I don't mind having different views. I've said this before many times on my channel. Do not agree with me 100%. Don't. I hope that you have your own point of view, but I hope you also have the mind that you can, be fine with someone who has different views. It's okay. Sometimes we could find common ground. Sometimes we could agree to disagree. I don't need to hate you because you have a different view than mine. You shouldn't hate me because I have a different view than you. And then it's like, okay, you're not just hating me to have a different view. You will also spit on me because I have a different view. It's like, seriously? That's the insane. This is why, like I said, why I left, the Democratic Party, because they're just filled with, honestly, bigots, toxic people, violent people, disgusting people, hypocrites, delusionals, insane people.
Yeah.
The only off-ramp would have been, hey, we kept saying that people like Charlie Kirk, by the way, he was much more moderate than I am. I am Genghis Khan or Attila the Hun compared to Charlie Kirk, but I will have conversations with anyone. I just want to be very clear. So I know that plenty of people would gleefully celebrate my death, my murder, for doing this exact same thing. The only off-ramp would have been the left saying, look, We've called Donald Trump and his voters and Charlie Kirk and Stephen Crowder and whoever on the right, Tucker Carlson, take your pick, Sargon of Akkad, everyone. Ben Shapiro, we've called them fascists, we've called them Nazis, we've said that they want to commit a genocide because they don't want to transition children, we've called them racist because they support the police in an era of defund the police, and my God, people out there actually believe it. It's incumbent upon us to tone this down and say, you know what? They're not fascists. We made these people believe that this guy would never relinquish the reins of power. How do you deal with fascists? You can't do it at a ballot box. If I believe that there was an actual government right now that was executing blacks, as the left has said about the police force, if I believed that there was a leftist government that was actually fascist, that would jail any and all political dissidents, if I believed that the left was committing a genocide against white conservative Christian men, and if I believed that that administration would never host a democratic election again, I'd be out in the streets with a gun. You have a huge portion of Democrats who believe that about Donald Trump and his voters.
Yeah, I mean, I believe you saying that people believe that, absolutely.
That's very different between the right and the left, isn't it?
I mean, I don't know, Stephen. It feels like it's so polarized right now. It's even hard to find common ground on anything. You know, like I was just thinking about the sign, and it's.
But we don't have to. We don't have to find common ground. We can agree to disagree. That is it. I think it's fine for us to not have common ground. But I think the point is that if we don't have common ground, why would you want to kill me because I don't agree with you? That's the thing. That's the insanity. Let's agree to just disagree. But no, the left is on the verge of insanity. If you don't agree with me, I want to kill you. That is it. It's like, if you don't agree with me, I want to beat you up. If you don't agree with me, I'm going to constantly be in your face trying to force you to agree. It's like, what? It's just too much.
That the left is violent.
Yes.
Then when I sit down, it's actually the left is politically violent, and so it's kind of it's a modifier, right? We're modifying our conversation a little bit, and so.
No, what I'm doing is matching the intensity and the rhetoric of the left. Kamala Harris and Joe Biden have said the right is violent. The political right is violent. And I'm doing what they are unwilling to do, which is sit down and have a conversation. I don't believe it's nuanced. I believe there's black and white, pretty clear-cut, good and evil in this one. I believe there's pretty black and white, clear-cut who's responsible for the political violence. But I will discuss it with anybody. So did Charlie Kirk. And they kill us anyway. So I'm matching their rhetoric that I can fit on a sign, but I'm doing the work that the left is not willing to do and having a conversation. But I don't know where we go from. If we have these conversations and short of a brigade coming in, we get assassinated. The left doesn't fear that.
I would disagree, though. I think the left does have their own fears about it. Maybe it's not exactly the same, but I think there's a lot of fear out there. It's just different.
The leftist speakers on this campus don't need the same kind of security. They don't.
I'll take note of that. I mean, I've been a student here for 2 years, and I hadn't even paid that much attention. I don't go to a whole lot of events, but I'll take note of that and see what I notice. So.
Well, let me ask you this. Assuming that I'm not lying to you, right, about these polls, and this is one thing, we always, every show that I do, I'm largely a comedian, by the way. I'm an unwilling participant in this. I want to be telling dick jokes in a comedy club.
I do stand-up comedy, too, actually.
Oh, good, okay. Do you do some around here?
I do.
You might know my half-Asian lawyer, Bill Richmond. He does a lot of stand-up in Dallas right now. He has a show coming up.
Cool.
Well, let me know. Maybe I'll be able to look it up, and I can't come out and see a show unless I come out with security, but I'd like to see your material. That's actually even another example. A man who works on my show, a man named Josh Firestein, he was a booker for a comedy, a franchise of comedy clubs. When I performed at the Spokane Comedy Club, it was the first time they ever needed metal detectors and security. He'd been a booker there for many, many years. You had actual registered communists do comedy there. He was shocked and he was ready to hate me. He works for me now because he saw why it was necessary. When you perform on stage, do you need metal detectors? Do you need armed security? I have since I was 19 years old doing comedy in clubs. And I don't think I've said anything that necessitates that.
He's been doing this since he was 19?
Oh, George was letting me know. I have class at 2.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So how do we fix this then?
Oh, I mean, I think we need to have more civil discourse. I think.
Can't do that. We get shot.
Well, we can. We're doing it right now. Let's
With
not
a brigade.
be so pessimistic. But Stephen, come on, we have to change our attitudes about it. We can't.
You can't. You can't, because here's the thing. When you relax, you get shot in the neck. That's the thing. One of the things were with Charlie Kirk, he had relaxed security because honestly, he felt that too much security deterred people. But that, you see how him not deterring people led to his death? That's the thing. So what next, Republican or conservative or whatever is going to take his life into his own hand and, sit with people and do this. Crowder, he's taking that chance. He has the balls to do it, but not many people want to just take their life into their hands like this.
Constantly fixate on the negative stuff. I know it's important and it matters, but we can do it. And just as
I can do it with $250,000 of security. Most people don't have that.
Most people don't have that. And you talk about like fearing for your life.
Yeah.
I am a female pastor in Deep East, Texas. So on Sunday morning, I wait for that time when someone doesn't like what I said from the
Female pastor. I'm not religious, right? I'm not a religious person, but I believe, and this is a thing where I know people who are religious. I believe, and you see it, many people are walking away from religion because it's gearing towards women. It's gearing more towards women. A lot of times, single mothers. I don't know. I just don't think that it's beneficial to have women leading a congregation, to leading people.
and comes up to me. So I too live with a fear, but it's different for me. And,
Do you have metal detectors and armed security?
We can't afford that at my church. We have an old person that sits at the front and says hi and tries to intervene in a way that would be appropriate of a Christian. We thought about bringing security to the church. We talked about it.
We literally can't have these discussions on our side unless we have it.
We have security.
It's a necessity.
Yeah. And I think that's really unfortunate that it's gotten so bad. The state of our country is so bad that we can't even talk to each other without one side or the other having to provide ridiculous amounts of safety and security that maybe aren't even guaranteed.
No, it's true.
Right?
And I agree with you. It is terrible that we've gotten to this point.
Yeah.
It is terrible that it's exclusively incumbent upon one side to have these types of measures in place. Let me ask you this. Because, again, I think that we both abhor political violence. Do you think that maybe when one side is being hunted, let's make no mistake, Charlie Kirk was hunted. When people showed up to my house to try and kill me, I was being hunted, right? Any conservative here is one viral tweet, one effective video away from being hunted.
Yeah.
Do we think that when that happens, and we peacefully mourn the loss of one of our peaceful leaders, and we are still approached with violence at memorials and at vigils with desecration, do you think that maybe the both sidesing it, saying it comes from both sides, is actually more harmful than productive? Because it lets the side that's responsible for it off the hook,
the lack of accountability. That's where I hate, right? That's the thing where I hate, where Democrats are showing their lack of accountability 100% on the left. 100%. Take it. Take the accountability. Okay? It's the lack of accountability. Like, we condemn these people. We condemn our side that enacts these violent acts. Okay? We condemn the Tesla stuff. We condemn the, trying to assassinate Trump. We condemn the assassination of Charlie Kirk. Like, you people are not part of us. That's the thing. I've said this before. Where I support men. I mean, no, I'm sorry. I've said this before. I don't support all men. I support good men. That's it. I support good men. I don't care, if you're just a man, but then you are, calling women bitches and hoes, and you want to degrade women, you want to use women, you want to abuse women, you want to get in a relationship with a woman and then cheat on her. No, I don't. No, you're not for me. I don't agree with that. No, I'm good. You don't need to follow me. That's the thing where I'm gonna hold up to it. I'm not scared. Oh my God, we don't have these voters. We don't have these insane voters for us. No, fuck that. You don't want these people on your side. But they will show how, lack of accountability they have.
Dresser.
So I think it's more harmful to say that it's both sides.
Do you think it would be more helpful to call the left out and say, hey, you guys have been saying fascist, you guys have been saying Nazi, you guys have been saying genocide, sexist, and people believe it, and we're seeing political violence now that we both hate. Do you think that calling them out aggressively, rhetorically, might be more productive than saying, well, I guess it happens on both sides, right now?
No, I don't, because it kind of reminds me of therapy, where it's not necessarily helpful to point the finger in ways that are counterproductive. Not that I'm not opposed to holding people accountable, because that's a different thing.
No, I understand.
So
Maybe,
Yeah.
let me ask you then this way, where you say pointing fingers. What is the reason that we record crime statistics?
I don't know.
Would you agree with the fundamental premise that its primary purpose is risk assessment in determining who's most likely to be victimized? For example, and I hear this from the left, transgender or gay sex workers are more likely to be targets of violence than heterosexual sex workers, right? Those studies have come out, and by the way, those seem to be true. So we go, okay, these people are more at risk. The reason for crime statistics is to assess where the risk exists. Otherwise, it serves no purpose.
Okay.
Do we agree with that?
Fair.
Okay.
Sure. I'll trust your information on this.
Well, it's not information. It's just the reason. This is the why. Why else would we have crime statistics? Why would we record them? There's no reason. Just, okay, crime was committed. There's nothing we can do about it now.
I'll just have a history. I mean, is another potential reason, but sure.
What's the value in a history?
But history is so important, Stephen. Come on.
In what?
History matters. Oh my gosh.
But history is important in what?
In everything, right? History repeats itself, but I think it holds to your point that
Yes.
history matters because you're saying we've seen these
You don't want to repeat
violence events.
Yeah,
and we don't
You don't want to repeat negative history. So we agree.
Right,
That's the reason
right.
for crime statistics. So if we look at those statistics and we look at the polls and we see an overwhelming number of those on the left, at a ratio of 6 to 1, support violence compared to those on the right, and we see people being murdered in cold blood. If you are conservative, right-leaning in this country, and a public speaker, you are more at risk. How is that pointing the finger? It's identifying the problem and not repeating history, no?
Yes. Well, with data, sure. And data speaks differently than I think sometimes people do.
Sure.
You know, and so I think how data is presented matters a lot.
I agree.
So yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I really have on that particular thought. Were you wanting?
Well, I think actually, going to that point, the data that's presented, for example, right now in the wake of the assassination, by the way, not just that, we haven't gone more than 3 days with a serious liberal attack, but a serious leftist attack, meaning in the ideology of the left. You have it right here, ICE, that happened, ICE facility. You had another one in, I believe, is it Alvarado or Alvarado? I don't know the right way to pronounce it. People were shot there. There was a bomb threat.
Yeah.
The ABC affiliate. Okay, all right. It's like Houston, and then in New York they go Houston. I'm like, I don't know the rules, so forgive me. And then I have French Canadian mom, so I mispronounce things because she taught me English.
Nice.
And then we look at the ABC affiliate, Jimmy Kimmel. We haven't gone more than 3 days. That's an acceleration right now. And the problem is, amidst that, the left is saying, actually, there's more political violence coming from the right. And that's the rhetoric we've been hearing, and it's dishonest. In other words, data is being presented to the public deliberately, dishonestly, to victim blame. And that's something that we face too, where if you back people into a corner who are avoiding conflict, who are not violent, there could end up being right-wing violence. And when that happens, it's very ugly, it's very effective, it's very swift. And the only way we avoid that is for the left to take accountability of it and for them to tone down the temperature. And by that I mean, right now, and this is where I show you, I think we both agree on this. So the two sources in the data, I don't care if you see my password, are the prosecution project, that's what's cited in The Economist and NPR, and Cato. These are the ones where they say, hey, right-wing violence is more prevalent. I'm sure you've heard that. Let me show you what they don't include in the data, because like you said, people speak differently than data. You this in Portland?
When was this?
Summer of Love, George Floyd riots. Aaron Danielson, shot point blank dead because he was a Trump voter. And the man Reinhold, it was Michael Reinhold who shot him, told the cops, I got the Trump supporter, dead. We agree that's political violence?
Yes, of course.
Not a single one of these places cites it. It doesn't exist in their database.
The ones here in your black folder.
That's the thing where I don't agree with Crowder 100%, but that's what you got to do. Don't agree with someone 100%. Then you're a sheep, right? Then you're just a follower. Okay. Then you're blinded. Make your own decisions. And that's the thing where I can say this, right? If someone who's like, let's say, a Democrat, and he says something logical, I could agree with it. It's just, as long as it makes sense, yeah, you agree with it. You don't, sometimes this is a problem where we as people are not on the place where let's agree to disagree or find common ground. We don't need to hate on each other. Because we bring in this is the thing where I want more men, and men do it. A lot more men do it. Just think about it logically, right? Be logical. I think we are in a state, the US particularly, we're too emotional. Insanely emotional. And controversially, this is what women have done. This is what women have done to a lot of men, in my opinion. Brought up more emotion. They want men to be more emotional. And it has shown that testosterone levels for men have gone down. Men are less aggressive, men are less combative, men are less dominant. But there are also side effects that men are more emotional, right? Men can be more emotional. So, I don't know. This is where ideology become problematic. they come at as a set of beliefs rather than dealing with individual issues. I can see that. I can see that. But this is a thing where what I was like, right? And again, ideologies are fine, understandable, but the problem is when you make it concrete. When your ideologies are so like such your whole being, okay? Being a leftist is just all you are. And I've heard so many women say it. Oh my God, I cut off family members, boyfriends, fathers, mothers, sisters, brothers, friends. If they are Democrats, or if they are Republicans, I cut them off. It's like your ideology is poisonous. It's absolute poison. Because your ideology, it's like there's no room for nothing, right? This is a thing where we're so narrow-minded, Yes, they make it. It's like a religion, right? Being a leftist, being a Democrat, it's like a religion now. It's gone too far. It's gone to such an extreme. 100% agree about women. At the same time, they want us to be more emotional, but they get spiteful when exactly. You don't understand. This is the thing where I hate it. Women have destroyed being stoic. Being stoic. I'm sorry. Women have destroyed being nonchalant. And honestly, nonchalant and stoic, it is a man that's in control of his emotions. It's a man that's not women don't understand, because women have the privilege to express emotions. Women have the privilege to express emotions. Because here's the thing. When a woman is mad, yeah, she screams at you, she could yell, she could say mean shit to you, okay. And if she hits you, whatever, as a man, if a woman hits you, slap you, whatever, we ignore it, we deal with it, we move on. Right? But still, that's violent. That's violent. That's being emotional. But imagine this. This is why men understand men. And this is the problem with women trying to change men. Men knew that being stoic, being nonchalant, the reverse, if he's too emotional, yeah, he screams at you, he yells at you, okay. But what if he hits you, right? And women can do it, but imagine that emotional package. In a man, it is dangerous. Men know this shit. This is why men have always been in control. I believe, in my honest opinion, men have been unknowingly emotional intelligent. Right? Because men couldn't articulate it correctly. But men, I believe, were unknowingly emotionally intelligent because you control your emotions. Part of being emotionally intelligent is controlling your emotions. Because when men let out their emotions like anger, sadness, whatever, it can lead to violence. Because the sad part is that men have the burden of strength. That's why being stoic, being nonchalant is a good thing for men. They don't generally interpret nuance and subtleties the way men do, vice versa. We become stoic. They play attention games. Exactly. Women play attention games and use subtleties as a weapon. I mean, okay, yeah, I agree. And this men and women communicate differently. The problem is that women are trying to change men into women. And controversially, this is what you're seeing with the whole trans thing. I think, I don't know the statistics, but it looks by social media, there's a trans boom. Why? It's because of women. Women are trying to change men into women.
But not here in this.
No, in there. You have all the sources.
Oh, these ones doesn't.
It's the same thing. The black folder is just those.
Okay.
Yeah. The point is they come from two places. TPP, the prosecution project, or a Cato study, which is reflected by the CSIS as well, where Cato tried to say there's 6 times the amount of domestic terrorism deaths. TPP said right-wing general violence. By the way, all of them agree that in the last year, since Donald Trump has been elected, even now they agree 2 to 3 times more leftist violence than right-wing violence. But that was never included. In other words, when they say there's more right-wing political violence, that's not included as left-wing political violence. You know what else isn't? All the riots, the billions in damages, the 37 dead from the George Floyd riots, the thousands of officers assaulted, the thousands of casualties, that's not included. You know what else is included? Darrell Brooks in Waukesha, Wisconsin, who ran people over in the parade out of an exclusive defund the police, Black Lives Matter, anti-white, black supremacist ideology. That's why he killed them. That's not included. I could go through example after example where you would just as clearly agree that is political violence. I'm not trying to pick a gray one. It exists nowhere. So why do you think that wouldn't be included in the data? as left-wing political violence, because that's the number cited by the left right now to justify it.
I think we have so much data that it's hard to even, especially in the today's. Well, I don't know, that's weird because you're saying in the police recorded call, they said
He spoke to the police before they shot him.
So it's on a 911 call. That
So this is on
the Trumper.
Yeah, he was talking to the police. So there's
police cam video.
This is security camera video, and then I believe there's also police camera video and sworn testimony from the police. But he identified as 100% Antifa.
Yeah.
You can look at his social media. He went out there. There are even, I believe, interviews with this man before this was committed where he was talking about enacting political violence.
Yeah.
Did it, clear as day. Are you a Trump supporter? Yes, we've got a Trump supporter. Bang, bang, dead. All the studies from left-wing sources don't include that. Is that bothersome?
Yeah, I do think it is bothersome because we need to have the facts of the situations, any situation, regardless of where it comes from. And you talked about something you said earlier just reminded me of like the media is not portraying things accurately. And
Right.
That's adding fuel to the fire.
Yeah.
It's adding so much fuel to the fire.
On that, we agree. And can I ask you, and this is, by the way, there's no wrong answer. This is just an opinion. Why do you think that wasn't included? Why do you think the examples that I gave you, none of them were included? But any example of white on black.
This is a thing where I like statistics, but I also don't 100% trust them. Because at the end of the day, it's human compiled, right? We humans are very biased, very flawed. So yes, I would. A lot of times I do use statistics, but I also use logical reasonings in my thing. Okay, logical assumptions. Okay, I prefer to use more logical assumptions to build a logical scenario, something that makes sense. Okay, not something that necessarily built on statistics, because again, I take it with a grain of salt. Okay, because like I said, statistics are compiled by people. People are flawed. People are biased. So,
Violence, even if it was a Democrat voter, was listed as right wing. Any attack on a government building, even if it was Antifa, was listed as right wing. Why do you think something that clear
It's not included.
Would it surprise you if the authoritative source that's being cited, the prosecution project, the author of it, was actually arrested himself on January 20th protesting Donald Trump, committing crimes, and that entire day was also omitted?
Probably not.
A member of Antifa who said we are an organized group and we confront fascists. That's the source that gets disseminated across. Seems like there might be a bias there. And these sources are being used to victim blame those on the right now. Where do you think those on the right go? Where we go, hold on a second, we're actually sitting down and having conversations, and we've been attacked, and in some
yes, exactly. That's why I take it with a grain of salt. I take it with a grain of salt where, I statistics are great, right? They sound, if they prove your argument, you feel great about it. But I prefer to, use what like I said, a logical scenario kind of setup. Because I know how statistics can be. We are humans, we're flawed, we're biased.
cases killed.
Right.
And then you came to the memorials and the video.
Thank you guys for showing up, right? Thank you guys for showing up. Please like the video, guys. Help me out, right? Please help me out. Please like the video.
And you celebrated it. A majority of people on the left, not all, not yourself, but too many celebrated it.
I don't celebrate it
No,
in that way.
but many did, and we both know that we saw
I
it.
know you're right,
And then you came and blamed us and said we need to tone it down, and told us that we're more violent with clearly dishonest stats.
Yeah.
That's why I say that both sidesing it doesn't help, because you're backing people into a corner, not you, the left, with lies. At a certain point, they're going to push back, and I'm trying to avoid that.
Yeah. So what do you think the answer is then?
I'll tell you what I think the answer is, twofold. One, the leadership of the left and the majority of the left. I think that the majority of people who identify as liberal, the reason you get those numbers 62 to 65, depending on the day, whether it's Rutgers or whether it's YouGov, I think they support political violence to varying degrees because they actually believe that those on the right are fascist, are Nazis, are genocidists, are racist, are homophobic, are sexist, because every single member of the Democratic leadership has said so. Barack Obama, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Walz, Bernie, Elizabeth Warren, every single one has made that comparison. I think it's incumbent upon the left to take accountability, say, look, we have gone too far here. This needs to be toned down. Of course, Donald Trump and his voters are not fascists who won't relinquish power, because you can't deal with fascists at a ballot box. And then I think we also need to, states need to take this upon them, need to change their soft on crime policy, the no cash bail, the IOU policy, where you can simply say, I'll be back in court. Before Charlie Kirk, right, the story in the news was Zarutska, the Ukrainian refugee who was stabbed on that subway in North Carolina by a black man, Carlos Brown Jr. He was let out 14 times. And the last time he was let out by a left judge in the name of social justice, he was deemed unfit to stand trial, but they let him go back out into society because he said he'd be back. said he killed an innocent woman. You know why? Because, hey, justice is racist. I guess I don't know when it becomes racist, if it's at arrest number 11 or 14 or 6. But that needs to change. Those two things, accountability, change in rhetoric, ownership from the left, which will change the makeup of today's left, make us safer, and needs to change soft on crime policy. And I also advocate that conservatives take an approach of ruthless, lawful self-defense, because we've afforded grace where it is not warranted. What I mean by that is people who attack me and my family, and many of my production members who've been attacked, violently assaulted, have taken the high road for a very long time, and that's why these people feel so bold to come to our memorials and still commit attacks. They need to know they can't do that. I want the left to be able to get up and have these conversations with no security, as they often do, and I don't want anyone on the right to go and violently disrupt it. The left needs to be afraid to come into our groups and commit acts of violence, because we watched entire cities burn down. We watched our own die, and then we watched it celebrated. And unless the left does this and takes this approach, it's going to get worse. There's no off-ramp. That's a genuine concern of mine. People are concerned about radicalizing, right? They talk about radicalization with echo chambers online. And there's nothing more radicalizing than an assassination and a party afterwards.
Yes, no, I agree with you.
That's why I'm sitting down doing this. And to let people know that we're not afraid to have these conversations. Now, of course, you know, we have bulletproof glass and a flak jacket, and it's sad that it's here.
Right.
But it's necessary. That's what I think.
Okay.
Would you disagree with any of those approaches? Changing the rhetoric, taking accountability, and stopping the soft on crime revolving door criminality policy?
This is hard, Stephen.
No. How would you, like, this is a thing where it's because you are, that's why I said she seems more left-leaning. Because you are so, you don't want to look bad in front of your party. You don't want to look bad in front of your party. So that's why you can't make hard stands. In my opinion, the Democratic Party should be wiped. Not like kill them, but they should have a complete overhaul. Just change all the Democratic people.
Because I just feel like we don't have enough time to even really dive deep into each
Well, those
of
are two proposals.
Issues. I know. But I just need more time to process and really consider and to understand what you mean exactly with each thing, because I don't want to.
No cashless bail.
No cashless bail.
Yeah, so you have to post bail. Okay, you have to post bail. You commit a violent crime, you have to post bail. You're in jail. You're not allowed out.
Okay, so no cashless bail, meaning you're not allowed to.
You're not allowed to get out without paying any bail.
Without paying any bail, and like
3-strike policy as well.
3-strike policy.
3 serious felonies, violent crimes.
Wait, hold on, bail.
Yeah.
So you're saying if you can't make bail, you can't get out.
Yep. You have to wait for your trial.
No matter what the level of the crime is.
No, if it's a serious felony.
Only if it's a serious felony.
Let's even start with violent crimes.
Like
felonies, violent crimes.
Something like that.
Artie, my brother, thank you for stopping by.
Assault, armed robbery.
Okay.
Burglary. Battery.
I think I could probably get behind that.
Okay.
I could probably get behind that.
Not a single.
It's all good. It's all good. I mean, I just wanted to watch something, so it's all good. Sometimes my lives are not lively. All good, right? I don't mind. I'm just watching something that I wanted to watch. If people join, awesome. I love the support. If not, it is what it is. I'm not a big creator. I'm very small, very niche. So I completely understand if people have things to do, right? I'm all good. I thank you for even the little bit of support. So don't worry about it. I get it. I'm tired too. So I definitely understand.
Leader in the Democratic Party is white.
Yeah.
So we can get behind that. No IOU policy for these criminals. You're deemed meant. Let's use DeCarlos Brown Jr. as a very clear example. We could use George Floyd as an example too. He was arrested 6 or 9 times.
Actually, I'm so
okay. That's fine.
I have to go to
okay. Well, please peruse those sources. Your name is Christina. Let me get your last name, so if I want to go see your material.
Yeah. Well, I perform under a stage name, and I wouldn't say it anyways.
Could you write it down for me if I don't show it to anybody?
Moderator is right. We shouldn't be celebrating death. We need to be working together and being united in these things. Together we stand, divided we fall.
I agree with most of that.
Okay.
Thank you very much, Christina.
Yeah,
be well.
You.
God bless.
Well, that was surprisingly productive. And I say surprisingly, not in the context of change my mind, but in the context of what we see in today's social media highlight reels. I hope that we can keep this up. Let's move on to our next conversation with Madison, like the town.
Allow me to assert the premise today, which is that today, especially in 2025, I am presupposing that predominantly the political violence right now is coming from the left, setting a tenor and tone where everything you see here today is necessary. And if you disagree with that, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah.
All right. So, which part of that the left is predominantly responsible for the tone of political violence today do you disagree with?
Well, I have to think that we first have to consider how many people are on the left and what is the true ideology and mythos behind this new occurrence of violence that we see with the left.
Okay.
Of course, I mean, there's potential skews of media. I don't doubt that crime is not happening, but how many people are truly committing crime out of the sake of leftism or out of the sake of radicalism, or could it be plastered on there just to get this ball rolling about narrative? The only other question that I had, a personal question about you, is, and it's a tough one.
Well, is it related to the topic?
It is.
Okay.
Would Jesus be on the left or the right?
Well, that's a conversation for another day. We talk about that in church quite a bit. I don't necessarily know that he would fit within the current American left-right paradigm. But I will tell you one thing. Jesus would certainly be against political violence as a form of intimidation or coercion. It seems to me like, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're not disagreeing with the idea, the uptick that there is an increase in political violence from the quote-unquote left. You're just not sure if you define them as left?
Partially, yeah. I just don't necessarily want to just assign political violence or terrorism directly to the left, because we see political violence across the world in forms of autocratic or conservative ideologies. So maybe China is a really good example. Arguably Russia.
Of leftist violence?
Of leftist violence, especially. Or, well, no, autocratic and conservative violence.
China would be conservative?
I would believe so, because they're an autocracy. So they have to practice conservative ideologies to obtain, they can't liberate their people. That's what the left is. That's what liberation is.
Well, I don't know how familiar you are with the CCP, but they're communist. And they did so under the guise of liberating people. And then, of course, you don't actually have any democratically held elections again. So they are communist. They've done so to liberate people, namely from the decadence, the quote-unquote shackles of the Western world. I'm just a little bit, I guess, flummoxed as to how you would define communist China, the Communist Chinese Party, as right-wing.
Well, because when Marx wrote his communist ideologies, it was conservative-based. He didn't enjoy other people, races. He wanted to eliminate races.
What does it have to do with conservatism?
It has to do with human rights, because conservatism isn't looking to liberate people from, or define human rights. It's looking to remove human rights. Conserving the beliefs of the state and conserving the beliefs of elitism.
Okay, so what if your premise is flawed? So what if conservatism, and I understand, by the way, I agree with you, it means different things across. For example, conservative in the UK. In Canada, you're basically a liberal or a liberal separatist. There's no real conservative party. But in the United States, it's not about conserving the state. As a matter of fact, our Constitution is very unique in that it said the state doesn't grant any rights. So it's preserving the Constitution where you are granted unalienable rights, meaning birthrights, by God. And the state only serves to recognize those rights and protect them. And so if the state ever infringes upon the rights that are naturally yours by birthright...
But who assigned natural rights?
Well, again, the founding fathers would be conservative. But natural rights being...
Republican?
Well, this was before the Republican Party.
Am I correct?
This is the Republican Party.
Yeah.
But I'm just confused. So you would say that communist China, conservative.
I would say it's autocracy that uses conservative.
Okay. But how is that conservative? For example, you say doing away with races. How is that conservative?
It conserves their power over the state, or over the nation.
So you believe that conservatives want the state to have more power?
I think that we define conservative beliefs by our Republican values. But conservatism across the globe looks very different.
Okay. Well, I agree that different parties, because there's also the Conservative Party, for example, whereas here at the Republican Party. We're talking about conservatism in the United States. It seems to me that your presupposition is that conservatives, Republicans, want more state control, want more government power, as opposed to the Democrat Party, liberals. Okay. That would apply over health care, what you can eat, what you can drive, taxes. They're more liberal, more open-minded on the left of those policies. Okay. I would just disagree with that, considering if you just look at marginal tax rates and you look at gun policy, you look at speech policy, you look at energy policy, what you can drive. But going back to political violence, you said you wouldn't want to ascribe the uptick that we both recognize, political violence to the left. What would be required for it to be ascribed to the left? What if they said it was? Like, what if someone...
I would say, like, I'm looking at this globally.
Well, let's talk about here in the United States, because that's what we're...
Yeah, why are you looking at it globally? And this is the kind of the stupidity of it. You don't, in a lot of sense, Americans don't live in a global world. Not in many senses, where Americans are very sheltered, because you can see it when they travel. They don't know the world. Okay, a lot of Americans, how they travel very ignorantly, very entitled. So Americans are not, to think globally is kind of idiotic, in my opinion, particularly as an American. Because you don't know how other governments work. You don't know how it feels to be, I don't know, controlled by other governments, or, you know, what other word would I use? I don't know. Like to be governed by other governments. So It's very idiotic to think, oh, I'm thinking worldly. Why?
Yeah. Like what I'm asking you is what would be required if someone were to commit an act of political violence and you consider it on the left? What if they said it's because they're on the left? Would that count?
I would say so, no.
No.
I think if somebody is doing an act in towards the left, what side of the left and why? Because what we refer to as the left is now a religion and ideology.
I would agree with that.
This is a secular movement.
Secular humanism,
And,
yeah.
well, you can really say demonic too, because like a lot of those people are nuts. And to try to return back to their liberalist state, because in some ways, liberalists believe that they've been robbed of human rights. It's a radicalism of people that,
Right.
honestly, if the conservatives, like maybe 20 years ago, started assigning themselves the idea of human rights or like, public policy and things like that, there would probably been a switch around for the conservative movement to be more actually the radical people.
Do you mean like the Civil Rights Act or like
Civil Rights
Emancipation Proclamation, freedom of speech policy, Section 230, Second Amendment? Do you mean those kinds of rights?
Those kinds of rights, but
If the right had been spearheading those?
and probably a little bit more socialist ideals. But of course,
Well, it's not just change the definitions, right? What you can't do, or I would disagree with doing, is saying racist means conservative, because it doesn't, right? Most slaveholders would be Democrat, and I know we would talk about how the parties have switched. You can't say KKK equal, those would be largely Democrats. There's nothing conservative about racism. There's
but
nothing.
again, I think that we're assigning Republican parties and Democratic parties when conservative.
That's what we're doing. We're discussing it here in the States.
Assignment of Republican, because if you want to argue that Republicans were liberating people, wouldn't that constitute as a left nowadays?
Why would that be left?
Because they're liberating people from slavery, and it's a Republican mindset. We don't.
No, I don't see how that would be left at all. As a matter of fact, I think your fundamental flaw that I would argue is this idea that the left is more concerned with individual liberty. That makes sense why you would ascribe conservatism to communism. I think you'd be hard-pressed to find anyone who agrees with you. But right now, on the political violence, let me ask you this.
Karl Marx, he was a conservative.
Wanted to do away with the nuclear family, wanted to seize the means of production and distribution. I just won't agree with you that anything about that is conservative. The political violence, the assassination of Charlie Kirk.
Confusing conservative with Republican ideals. And
Okay.
the Republican ideal is to protect the family. In some ways, you could say it's conservative.
Sure,
family,
yeah,
but
conservative,
again,
and
that is
Karl Marx wanted the state to be in charge of the family.
That is the American perspective on conservatism.
Okay.
But the arrival, like what is liberalism, what's conservatism, we can't assign it to American Republican Party or Democratic Party because people hold left-leaning views in the Republican Party.
Sure.
We can say that Republicans want to liberate the world from war nowadays, at least with Donald Trump's administration, and that the Democratic Party wanted to do more war in, what was it, like Bush's era, right? So
Exactly. Delusion, you're correct. I believe that. This is the thing where I love the force doctrine that Andrew Wilson pretty much coined, right? I don't know if he created it, but he coined it. The force doctrine. Yeah, exactly. Okay. Human rights too are a floating abstraction. You can't enable human rights without an authority to enforce them, which they automatically gaslight as fascists. They don't know what a tyranny is. Exactly. We have too many Americans that are entitled. They're basically entitled spoiled brats.
what is it confusing?
Did you say Bush was a Republican? But I would agree with you.
Maybe it's a Clinton. Clinton was.
Yeah, I mean,
Democrat.
I will say this. All presidents have been more pro-war than how they campaigned, with the exception of Donald Trump. I think we would agree on that. Political violence. The assassination of Charlie Kirk in cold blood. Would that be leftist political violence?
I think that was a Satanist.
Okay. Daryl Brooks, Waukesha, running people over. He's a black supremacist who wanted to kill cops and white people. Would that be leftist political violence?
And he is a part of the BLM or Black Supremacy movement.
And would you not consider that among the left? Antifa, would that be considered among the left?
I think that they're assigning themselves a party to assimilate with, but that doesn't necessarily, it doesn't account for leftist values because the leftist.
This is new. This is new. This is post Charlie Kirk's death. He's bringing it back, right? Bringing it back changed my mind. This is why I wanted to check it, right? It's been a little while. So he's bringing it back.
So let me ask you, because I don't want to waste too much time on this. How would you curb political violence, right? The whole reason for crime statistics is a risk assessment to see who's most likely to be victimized and prevent it in the future. I get that you're in college and I understand that things can be kind of nebulous or abstract, but there are real people dying, right? And some of them are people I've known sitting in this exact. Okay. So where is the violence coming from in the country right now when you take into account Charlie Kirk? I mean, what just happened here down the road at ICE, or Alvarado, I'm not sure how it's pronounced as well. We haven't gone more than 3 days in the last 3 weeks without significant acts of self-identified leftist terrorism. How would you curb it? If you're going to curb political violence, and it seems like you're not willing to say that anything is political within the paradigm as it's universally recognized, what would you do?
I think people need to get off social media. They're becoming radicalized through that.
Okay.
How much time can you spend on TikTok, like, cycling through the same, like, violent ideologies? Because conservatives can have...
I'm banned from TikTok because I said Xi Jinping has a small penis, so that's the
I don't
Communist
care
Party.
about TikTok. I can say Instagram as well.
No, I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I agree that social media can be very toxic, but we're seeing real acts of violence. So assuming that you can't wave your magic wand and ban all social media.
Are you meaning?
Yeah, Crowder is going. He has the balls. A lot of security guard, bulletproof vests, bulletproof glass. The man is, he is security up. Amazon. Our current social system is anti-civilization. Only our social system. The worst are allowed to rise to the top. I don't know. I mean, the worst is only allowed to rise to the top. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I would say that. And anti-civilization, I don't quite know what that means, right? Yeah, I don't think I understand that one.
In terms of, like, policies, like, if I had a seat in...
Well, we need to identify the problem. Where do you think the political violence is coming from more right now?
I think on a global scale...
In the United States.
Both.
In the United States.
Why do you keep on saying a global scale? You're not living outside the U.S. You're not experiencing other situations outside of the U.S. You are insane to constantly think about the global scale.
In the United States, I can't speak on the United States because I don't think it's just the United States.
No, but that's what the conversation is today. So if you don't want to, that's okay. But I appreciate you taking the time.
You don't want to because you know that you will be calling out your own party.
I appreciate the disagreement respectfully. You're never going to get me to say that the Communist Chinese Party is right wing.
Well, of course you wouldn't, because, like, you represent the Conservative Party and the Republican Party.
Well, there's no conservative party here. I'm just conservative.
There are examples of people who are carrying out things violently, but it is not just the leftist ideology. It is a religion to something greater. And that's what I just want to assign it, is that because, yeah, of course. And, like, I've kind of already iterated my points, but...
No, and I think, yeah, we would agree, Karl Marx loathed religion and wanted to replace it with the religion of the state.
Yeah.
And that's what we see from these leftists. But I appreciate you sitting down, Madison. Thank you very much. Are those furry pants? So that they look...
They're furry pants and what?
Well, they're fur.
Bear pants.
Oh, they're bear pants. Sorry, I didn't mean to...
Shoes that are very, very exclusive and rare, but...
So what took you back when I said furry pants if they're bear pants? I didn't mean to offend you. They look like fur.
Well, they are bear.
Okay,
Boston.
they're bear
pants. Are you a
pants.
fan of Boston?
No. Not very much. I only spent a little bit of time there with the hockey exchange. Montreal, we do an exchange with the Boston, and it's an intensely uneducated and often quite racist people. But thank you very much, Madison. I appreciate taking the time. God bless.
God bless.
In a moment, if I may, for a brief intermission, and the only time I'd be addressing the crowd this day, to issue a new challenge and lay out next steps.
Guys, this will be probably one of the only times that I address you kind of as a mass of people, because these usually end up being individual conversations. But I wanted to take a moment just to kind of communicate something here. When we started Change My Mind, the idea was back in 2016. I think the first ones were in 2017, so nearly a decade now. SMU was one of the very first places. And actually, I believe one of the very
Big bars. What's up, my brother? Thank you for joining. Thank you for stopping by.
first place was me with a sandwich board in Burlington, Vermont, in a morph suit, because it wasn't on campus initially. But the more I went on campus, the more I saw the failures of the institutions. And I want to be really clear about something. This was never designed to mock, denigrate, or dunk on students who don't know any better. It was always designed to highlight the failures of the institutions, because I was dumbfounded as to the fact when leftists would sit down that this was the first time they were hearing mainstream conservative views. So it was always about highlighting the failures of institutions, and that includes media, but certainly academia. And that's why the next step, and something we've been trying to put together for a long time, but no one has agreed to do so, and why I'll be announcing this publicly and reading it out, we're actually going to be starting, or calling for, formal debates with professors at schools. And the only way we can think to get these people to show up is to offer up $10,000 to a school for whatever cause of their choice, to their institution, and reach out and, oh, Lane, sorry, your phone locked. Where's Lane? Your phone, see, I have to read this off his phone because I just had to get the list. Can you hold it open? All right. And so we have reached out, and any Tom, Dick, Harry, or Karen who will respond and take the $10,000 offered up as a charitable contribution in any of the departments of political science or liberal arts at the University of Texas, at Kansas University, UCLA, Cal Berkeley, Stanford, USC, Penn, Penn State, Columbia, NYU, Harvard,
Boston University.
This country, and the majority of political violence is coming from the left.
Okay.
And it's reaching a really serious boiling point. I've been observing it for a long time.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that violence doesn't occur across the board, but predominantly from the left. If you disagree, you're more than welcome to change my mind.
Yeah, so one thing, I'm curious where you think that political violence comes from, just kind of as a general.
Where the violence on the left comes from?
Just where political violence, comes from, or on the left specifically, either way.
Yeah, well, I can tell you where it comes from on the left exactly.
Yeah.
I can tell you because I've been on the receiving end many times. So the reason I stopped doing Change My Mind for years is because every single time out there was some kind of attack.
Yeah.
For exactly the kind of conversation we're having right now.
Right.
And the ones that you've seen. Right? I don't come out and instigate, but some people yell at me. Rocks, concrete milkshakes, Molotov cocktails, slashing tires, doxing. With Charlie Kirk, you're just seeing one that got through. He had all the security before he was assassinated in an act of leftist terrorism because there were many close calls.
Yeah.
So that then empirically, that the recent polls from YouGov, from Reuters show that a majority of those on the left believe that political violence is somewhat to completely acceptable, in contrast to the right, so I'll address leftist political violence. If you refer to your political opposition, Donald Trump and his voters, as fascist, compare them to Nazis, say they're racist, they support oppression of blacks through the police force, say that they want to commit genocide and erase trans people because they don't believe that children should transition or biological men and women's sports, they're sexist, homophobic, and say, for example, specifically on Donald Trump, and this is the entire DNC, as far as national figureheads, saying, and you won't have another election again.
Yeah.
Because he won't give up the reins of power. If I believe that, I'd be in the street with a gun.
Right. So I guess from my view...
Do you understand that? Would you agree with that kind of premise?
No, I understand where that's coming from. And I think really, like, what has changed recently is there's been more hatred in politics. I guess, can we kind of agree with that?
I think that there's been increasing violence. I think that progressivism necessarily is predicated on divisiveness and hatred. I don't think that's the case with conservatism.
Interesting. I guess what part of progressivism do you think comes with that? I mean, like...
Racial division, gender division, classist division.
Right.
I mean, you don't see the right saying...
I agree. One of the things I hate about the Democratic Party, the left, is that constantly talk about race, gender, orientation, sexual orientation. I'm tired of it. Those don't matter. Those shouldn't matter. Those do not matter. It shouldn't matter if you're a man or a woman. It shouldn't matter if you're black or white. It shouldn't matter if you're gay or straight. It shouldn't matter. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's what I hate. And that's one of the things where I'm tired of. They use it as a way to divide us. Right? You're dividing us. White, black, man, woman. Gay, straight. It's just tactics to divide us, and this is why I stopped, being part of the Democratic Party, because they were using these things to divide us. I'd rather divide us between Americans and non-American. Right? That's a more better, like, if you're going to do a division, that should be the division. If you are American or if you're not. Even racism is racist. I agree with that.
Hey, these people are fascist and they want to genocide you.
No.
And I think it's necessary because, for example, leftism, socialism, right? You seize the means of production and distribution.
Right. Yeah.
That requires violence. Lowering marginal tax rates does not.
Right.
Yeah.
I think there are forms of leftist ideology that have violence inherent in them, but I think there are also a lot on the political left. For example, my siblings, we get along like fantastic, especially in an age where people lose relationships over politics. I'm really thankful to not have that be the case. Have two siblings on the left. Both my parents are moderate political right. And
can I ask you, are your siblings, like, would you say significantly left?
I'd say, as policy-wise, fairly so.
How did they respond to the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Oh, they were like fully in support of my devastation at the fact.
How did they respond to so many people on their side celebrating the Charlie Kirk assassination?
Oh, they were fully against that. And
well, that's why you can be friends with them.
Right, and I think at the end of the day, I guess I'll just explain my view a little bit. As someone who's a man of faith and trying to kind of get less into the political sphere and more towards, like, how can I be bold in my faith? I don't see political violence as the problem. I see it as the symptom, and I think the problem is our lack of religion. And I think in order to then solve that problem, we need to kind of tackle it from the roots. And I know one thing you talk about, for example, is...
I don't disagree with that.
Yeah, I think, like, we see a lot of crime in inner cities, right? Especially with young kids. That's not the problem. The problem is fatherlessness, right? And the crime is kind of the symptom of that. I think I kind of see this in the same vein, right? Where we see this increasing political violence, and we have the question of like, how do we solve it, right? And I know I heard you kind of talking before, and you said like, well, it's on the left to solve it. But I think
on the left, what was that?
That it's on the people on the left to solve the violence problem.
No, I said it's incumbent upon them to take accountability for it, and just even because I want you to continue, but if I may address your point, yes, I do believe that godlessness is the root. Is that what you're saying? The root cause of it. Okay. Who seeks to replace faith in the Father with the state? Who seeks to replace God with the state?
I mean, I think it's the ideology of atheism more so than it is a political
it's a political ideology of the left. If you look into Marx and Engels,
I mean, I think that's a symptom, though.
Well, but that is the goal of leftist policies, right? Is replace God with the state. State is your God.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the root of the left.
In some vein, I think that's true. But again, I think religion comes first, and then politics outgrow from that. And it's interesting. So one thing, when Charlie was shot, I was devastated, especially as a young conservative man. It kind of really hit close to home because like I was like, he was like an older brother to me, right? Like it was like just like a shocking moment. And like seeing people celebrate it, I was like, they'd celebrate my death too if they cared enough, right? I'm not relevant, but if I was relevant, they'd celebrate my death too.
Yeah.
And I caught myself in the day after. I go, I don't know how we can live with these people, and I'm kind of mad at myself for saying that. And the reason is
why.
Jesus never lived like that, right? His followers never lived like that, right? They endured persecution as the cost to spread his message. And I think that as either conservatives or people who are followers of Christ, we're called to do the same thing. And I think that it's not necessarily...
That's why, I'm sorry. This is why I can't be religious. I can't be religious, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, totally awesome. What's up, my brother? Thank you for stopping by. I'm tired of people saying it's fatherlessness. Most American men are not fathers. No, I mean, most American men are not fathers. Okay. I mean, I can see that. I mean, yeah, I mean, more women have children than men have children. So I'll say this, it's a single mother epidemic. That's what I'm going about.
Like awful to say something like this, but I think it can also be kind of pragmatically unproductive because I don't think it actually goes at what the root cause is. And I think if we want to tackle if we want to tackle the root cause, our efforts should be on that, right? Should be on spreading Jesus and like his message and what he taught.
Sure. Well, I agree with that, and we do discuss faith quite a bit. I mean, the show we have Friday Apologetics episode.
Yeah.
But I would say that I would posit that it's misguided.
Okay.
Sell your cloak and buy a sword.
Yeah.
Right. Jesus did not ask for his followers to die for their faith as a primary mechanism of spreading the faith. And he did talk about protecting themselves. Jesus conquered death. You can't.
Right.
Now, I know we all conquer death through the salvation, right? But as far as here, that's a very different, and I think that asking people on the right, especially people who are fathers, mothers, to willingly put ourselves out there and endure not only violent assault, but assassination, I just don't know how that's going to solve anything. Maybe you would have a point, and I don't know that I would agree theologically, if after the death of Charlie Kirk, if the left, and I've been saying this, the off-ramp for the left was saying, okay, look, we said that these people are fascists, we said that they're Nazis, we said, and people out there, my God, believe them, we're really sorry, we need to tone this down. Instead, you saw gleeful celebration thereafter. Polls that show a majority of those on the left believe it's somewhat to completely acceptable, and then blaming the right for violence and saying, you guys need to tone down the temperature. There is no living with those people in their current state until they change. They need to be redeemed. And I understand they need Christ to redeem them.
Right.
But we can't be sitting ducks.
No, I mean, I don't think it's wrong to defend ourselves, but like, if we look at how the apostles taught, right, I think all but one were crucified or exiled for their views, right? Jesus said, not you might undergo persecution, he said you will go under persecution if you follow me, right? I mean, baptism is referred to as joining Jesus in death, right? We have these we have these very strong, either depending on the situation, metaphors or direct instructions that we will undergo persecution. And the reason that we're able to do that is we know that we're saved through Christ, right? It's the most beautiful thing, right?
And I understand, but this is one thing where I do get off with a lot of modern Christian theology.
Right.
And I think that you'll probably find more consistent teachings like in Orthodoxy, for example. And I'm not Orthodox or even...
I agree. I think Jesus is an unattainable goalpost. Really, it's rare we can manifest peace in the world through sheer will alone. I 100% agree. This is a thing where there's part of like, this is where, again, this is why I don't agree completely with, like, let's say conservative values. The whole ideology of religion is just, to be honest, it's just, when you are so intertwined with one particular ideology and you make it your world, any kind of ideology, you will be so blinded by everything else. You'll be blinded by everything. Why do you think the Crusades happen, right? Why do you think the Crusades happen? These are people who 100% believe in their religion. Why do you think, Islamic terrorism happens? These are people who believe 100% in their religion. Why do you think the Japanese suicide bombers happen? Because these are people who 100% believe in their country or in their country's ideology. I love America. I've always said America first. But if it's going crazy, like let's say if it's like killing citizens, actual citizens, no, I will be questioning them. I will be calling them out. So it's to have a bit of balance, right? It's a bit of balance, a bit of like, how about some logical thinking? I at the end of the day, put some logical thinking. Fairy tales. I mean, like that's the thing. You gotta be thinking for yourself. A lot of times you gotta be thinking for yourself. You gotta be more open-minded. You can't be so narrow-minded. This is the problem when it comes to people on the left, conservatives, nationalists, anybody who's any of these kind of groups. BLM, Black Lives Matter people, all these groups, alphabet people, they are too intertwined with whatever ideology they are. It's too much. That makes you crazy. Muhammad is a perfect example. Yes. I mean, like, seriously, question the man. Question the man. I mean, like, this is, yeah. I'm sorry. Anybody who believes 100% of anything, you are crazy. Excuse me. Just like, there are some people who call me Redpill. You could call me that, but there are things where I don't 100% believe in everything about Redpill ideology. I believe the uplifting part, the supportive men part, but I do believe in marriage. I do believe in love. I don't believe in like having a high body count as a man. There are certain things that I believe in, certain things I don't. Be open-minded.
What traditionally the Catholic Church, I know there's been splinters, is no one is called to die. No one is called to die. I shouldn't say no one. We are not called to die as a primary means of spreading the gospel. And right now, Charlie Kirk, let me put it this way, he was hunted.
Yeah.
By definition, he was hunted, just as I have been hunted. And your one viral tweet, your one viral video, one post away from being hunted yourself. And for us to say, well, let's just deal with them in love. When you look at systemically, right? We'll use the term the left does. Systemically, people who commit violent crimes against us, they're released on the IOU policy.
Yeah.
Right? Cashless bail. Hey, you're not fit to stand trial. Think of Irina Zarutska before Charlie Kirk. That guy was out 14 times. George Floyd, I believe, was 6 or 9 times.
Yeah.
It is an evil, evil ideology that has permeated the halls of our institutions that does need to be dealt with. And I don't think we can deal with that by just turning ourselves into martyrs. I'm willing to be a martyr.
Yeah.
I don't want to be.
No, I don't think you should necessarily want to be. But I think if we're both looking historically as to how the gospel was spread, it was spread through people who were willing to die for their faith.
Sure, willing to die.
In fact, I see it in the same vein as...
Stephen, right? I was named after the first martyr.
Right.
I'm like, thanks, Mom.
I'm Andrew, so also understand. Yeah. No, I think that... Sorry, just kind of losing my train of thought. But
that's okay, brother. I get it.
Yeah, some parts make sense. Just find the parts that make sense to you and process it yourself. I believe anybody who just follows something blindly or believe in something 100%, it's a very dangerous path.
Yeah, so both how the gospel was spread historically through people who were martyred, and then also in kind of modern examples, right? A necessary sacrifice of being a man is being willing to die for others, right? It's not that we want to die for others, it's not that we shouldn't defend ourselves, right? And I think one key thing is like Jesus loved everyone, but the way he loved them was not through being passive, right? I mean, very clearly the way he loved people was by unequivocally telling them the truth, right? And he didn't back down, right? And it got him killed for telling the truth, right? But he also loved everyone, even those who hated him, right? I mean, he spoke out against the Pharisees, he spoke out against other religious hypocrites, he spoke out against those committing sins, right? And I think the same form of love that he practiced is what we should try to practice within that. Because at the end of the day, this violence is going to keep continuing.
Yeah. Do you mean like sitting down at a table and allowing anyone who will discuss it to listen, having a dialogue like this?
I think you're doing exactly what
Because we get killed anyway.
Right.
You know what else you need to be willing to do? Not just willing to die.
Yeah.
Willing to fight.
Yeah.
Willing to kill if it comes to it. I'm not talking about going out and killing people in the streets. I'm talking about you are called as a Christian man. I'm assuming you're not married.
Correct.
Otherwise, you just moisturize.
Not yet.
You are called to protect your family with your sword. You are called for righteous violence when needed. And people have misconstrued what I've said, where I've said it is time for ruthless, lawful defense. And what I mean by that is I've been attacked so many times at these things, where I said, not anymore. We're not going to allow it. I don't know if that milkshake is strawberry, chocolate, vanilla, concrete, or acid.
Yeah.
I agree with you. But just like a father who loves his child, you spoil the rod, you spare the child, right?
Right.
We love this country, and we see an evil permeating it.
Yeah.
And speaking truth sometimes is uncomfortable. And we got to keep our chin down and hands up.
Right.
And so I don't think we have any disagreement. And I don't think that this statement is unproductive. It's the truth. And the truth is merely the truth.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, I'm not saying that that's still accepted by that generation. This new generation is saying, if we don't believe in God, we don't have to believe in any of that stuff. And I think that's the ideology that's.
You know, one of the things why I kind of stopped watching this is that it didn't get enough good debate. The ideology of, you know, change my mind thing is great. He didn't get enough good debates. That's why I kind of stopped watching Steven Crowder's change my mind thing. I didn't know he stopped it, but I stopped watching it because honestly, the people who debated him, some of them are like these. They didn't even really debate them. So it wasn't that good. That's why I kind of liked the whole Charlie Kirk. I don't know how he did it, but he did a step up where people were actually debating him.
Resulting in this political violence, right? Because it's
well, I would take it one step further. It's the marriage of that ideology with government as a means of enforcing it. And that's Marxism, that's socialism. And that's why if you look at the left, the modern political left, it is deeply anti-God in every facet. It says there's no such thing as a life until literally it's outside of the vaginal lips. Not even, by the way, and I don't say that to be, and I think we should be shocking as Christians, truth, because we're not even just talking about in the uterus. Literally until it leaves the vaginal lips, it's not a life. And sometimes, we saw Governor Northam, even afterwards, we might allow that child to die. We should allow children to mutilate their genitals, right beyond puberty blockers. Not only that, we should take children away from their parents if they want to protect them and hide them in Minnesota where the parents can't find out about them. This is deeply evil, and the means of enforcing said evil is the state, and the only side interested in doing that en masse is the Democrat Party and the modern political left, and so I don't think you can separate the two. And my only disagreement, it wouldn't be disagreement on I don't think anything as far as our precepts, is on the methodology. There's a big reason that Gen Z has become more conservative, and a big reason for that is that people like myself and people like Charlie Kirk and a lot of people who sort of spearheaded this, we were no longer concerned with offense. The church was very feminized and very concerned with keeping the ties in because women brought their kids to Sunday school, and you know what? We don't want to offend anyone. And I think being curt but honest and blunt and having a backbone has resulted in a lot more headway than this sort of agape love Christianity. And it doesn't mean that you don't love people. But this conversation, I used to get more letters from Christians when I would start this exact kind of thing saying, you don't.
Yeah, he should edit into highlights.
You know that's going to offend people. I don't give a shit.
No, and I don't think it's wrong necessarily. I think that it would just be more helpful to, I guess, kind of tackle what I see as the root cause of all of this, in the rise of atheism. Because at the end of the day, if we just treat the symptom, right, it's what the welfare state did, right? It treated the symptom. Sure. But if we don't tackle the
waits you, and I want you to put the armor of the Lord on.
Oh, I'm from Connecticut.
Okay, all right. There you go. Plus, you got the McMahons there. They do some great stuff. But, all right. Well, was it Andrew?
Yes. I know this is unconventional. Is it cool if I pray with you real quick?
Yeah, absolutely. We've done that several times.
Dear Heavenly Father, I just thank you for Steve.
This is why I can do
weekdays,
it.
11 a.m. Eastern, as well as a whole bunch of other programs and everything ad-free. Let's go on to this next subject. Chris. Chris.
I don't know how familiar you are with what this series is, but
first time hearing about it so much, so I know the memes.
So, I didn't see that one coming. As far as when it happened, I was like, oh, it was just me at a table.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it's not. It's not clips and reels and shorts and dunks and gotcha and clickbait.
Omni, what's up, my brother?
If this conversation is productive and we're both having it in good faith, it'll be uploaded in its entirety contextually. It's an opportunity for us to rationalize. Okay, so what I'm asserting today is, sorry, I know we just touched hands, but it's okay. I'm fine if you're is that by and large, the tone, tenor, temperature right now, certainly in 2025, of political violence is coming overwhelmingly from the left. And I think this leads nowhere good unless the course corrects. If you disagree, you're welcome to change my mind.
So I would disagree, one, in the statement that these blanket statements of the left is violent hurts the creates a divisiveness of us versus them. I agree with what you're saying. I've been hearing your stats as well, that yes, it's disproportionately on the left as of late, and the stats I've seen, as you find. I think...
So you agree with that?
I agree with that aspect.
Would it surprise you that a lot of people don't agree with that? They say, well, there's more violence on the right. That's the talking point.
However, even if there is more violence on the right, or even if there is more violence on the left, I think violence as a whole is a problem. But I think you're also going to have violence as you radicalize groups, regardless.
Sure. May I address that? Just because we are a little bit tight for time right now, I apologize.
Totally fine.
And I hear about radicalizing a lot. And by the way, the reason for that is, I can fit it on a sign, and then I provide the context when we sit down. So I'm matching the rhetoric of the left, right? They say, the right commits more crime. I go, well, no, actually, the left is violent. But then I think I explain it contextually. We hear about radicalizing a lot. So, and I think that does happen. I don't think it's possible to be in a right-wing echo chamber because all of media, all of Hollywood, all of mainstream press, these institutions in academia lean heavily left. I think some people can silo themselves off, but still, people on the right are more aware of the positions on the left than vice versa. But we hear about radicalizing. Let me ask you this. Okay, you disagree with
I
that.
would definitely
But let's
disagree
assume
with that.
somebody's watching all the right-wing channels.
Okay.
Okay. Is there anything that you can think of more radicalizing than a moderate conservative who sat down and spoke peacefully, being politically assassinated as an act of terrorism in cold blood, and then gleefully celebrated thereafter when we tried to host peaceful memorials to mourn the death of our own, showing up, attacking, desecrating, spitting at every single vigil and memorial, and then blaming the right and saying we need to tone down the temperature? In other words, if you're a young conservative who watched Charlie Kirk, or could have been me, by the way, sitting in that chair, because there have been many attempts.
Yep.
I don't think there's anything on earth that could be more radicalizing than that, because the left still kept blaming the right. They didn't take the off-ramp.
Okay, but I would also argue we don't know all the motivations behind why the shooters are.
Sure we do.
Also, we can't.
We do.
Okay, but it was come out and stated that he was like doing this for left-leaning political reasons
He said it.
far before you could have even known what it was.
No.
A lot of the statements. All right.
Are you aware that, by the way, I this is just because it's relevant, we had a leak under the DOD. So we were my team right here, they were the people who broke the news that there were engravings on the bullet casings. Okay. There were anti-fascists, that were weird trans sort of 4chan type stuff. That's the OWO notices bulge. And the reason it was leaked to us from someone at DOD, DOJ, is because they were concerned that it would be buried. So when we released that, which of course now we know is true, it's been confirmed, we were tarred and feathered as liars and fake purveyors of fake news. So we knew it before anyone else, and I've been following it since. He said it was an act of political violence. He said that he killed Charlie Kirk because he was hateful and fascist. That's enough for me.
Okay. That is wrong. Absolutely. And so I can agree with
Well, not wrong. Do we agree that it's pretty clear what the motives are if the person who does it says it?
Yes, if he's said it, I mean, you could still...
And engraved it?
The engraving, though, isn't necessarily leftist. Like, I think you could definitely make an argument that it is leftist, but you could also make an argument... One, you could easily make an argument that you wanted to add division.
Shooting Charlie Kirk with a bullet engraving that says, fuck fascism, when Charlie Kirk, and by the way, yours truly, have been accused of being fascist for a decade, and then you read the writings of him saying he's hateful. That seems pretty clear to me. In other words, you sent a bullet with the engraving, fuck fascism, at the person.
Absolutely.
People said Charlie Kirk was a fascist. This person believed it, shot him because he believed he was a fascist. Is that not clear?
That is clear. What I would say, though, is that doesn't That doesn't necessarily mean it's far leftist. But even if in this case it is far leftist, I still don't think...
How does that not mean it's far leftist? This is what he's talking about, where take accountability. Take accountability. It's like your party, if I guess if you are part of the left, take some accountability. Your party is disgusting, it's ugly, it's violent, it's toxic. Absolutely terrible people.
Would we agree that the reasoning for the murder was the rhetoric of the left? They are the ones who accuse people like myself and Charlie Kirk of being fascist in comparisons to Hitler. If they weren't doing it, no one would think we're fascist.
I would agree that the rhetoric on both sides, though...
No, not on both sides. We don't accuse the left of being fascist and Hitler.
I agree, that's not necessarily happening, but I think that rhetoric in general, this far push, we are pushing so heavily towards us versus them, sitting on both sides, on both the left and the right, that the other guy is evil and the other guy is wrong. And that is true of a lot of both people that I know personally and in general. And we gain nothing from an us versus them mentality. Ever. The only time you can get benefit and value, that's the whole point of your show, is to build a relationship with somebody and talk through your problems. And it's when you recognize that the other...
Build a relationship based on truth, though.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I don't believe in linking hands with people who celebrate the assassination. And the problem is that 62% of those on the left, 62% YouGov poll after Charlie Kirk was killed, 62% on the left believed that it was somewhat to completely acceptable political violence. 77% of self-identified conservatives said no. Snap poll before Charlie Kirk was killed, 6-1, the left supports violence over the right. Another poll from Rutgers after Donald Trump, right, the attempted assassination, over 60% on the left supported it. You don't find that from conservatives against Kamala Harris. Over 60% firebombing Teslas, over 60% assassin. So in other words, you do have to look at the rhetoric, you do have to look at the acts of violence, and you do have to look at the preponderance of evidence, the totality of the polls that shows one side of the political aisle justifies, supports political violence as a means to an end, and that is the left.
What about January 6th? As an example.
Let me give you some context for January 6th. Do you realize that more people at ICE facilities in the state of Texas have been killed by left-wing violence in the last week than all of January 6th combined?
Yes, there weren't deaths or killing during January 6th, major ones, because it's the capital.
But my point is, why do you reach back to January 6th for whataboutism? Right up the street, you have more violence than January 6th. Also, and we haven't gone 3 days in the last 2 weeks without leftist violence. In other words, there's no equivalency. What about January 6th?
I agree, but however, also you have to recognize that, for one, the aspects of ICE, I think that is a major issue and a major problem. And if we could have time to go into that.
I know we don't have, I'm sorry.
I'm so sorry, because
they're booing us because of security.
Easy to go into, but.
Well, you don't, he ain't shot. I mean, do you need to be able to do 25 push-ups to pull a trigger? You really don't. I mean, it was to be honest, I mean, like, you can just aim a rifle, right? You look through a scope, you aim and shoot. I don't know. I mean, Artie, the The kid did kill him. I mean, I don't know.
Like that right there is a major problem as well, and I think there's something to be said.
How so?
With ICE and all that, the lack of due process given to immigrants being deported.
Okay, so what you just said, I just want you to bear with me here. That kind of rhetoric, that there's a problem with ICE, no due process, people who are here illegally are not entitled to the same due process as American citizens, and that kind of rhetoric is why people shoot up ICE facilities. They're doing their job. A slight change in deportation policies, and by the way, I mean very slight, because Barack Obama did it too. He had to give speeches on it because he was like, guys, we have to deport some people. A slight change in border policy is not something that warrants any kind of justification for the fomenting violence that we see from the left. ICE is doing their job, and illegal aliens are not entitled to due process. They never have been.
Constitution, peoples in the U.S. are entitled to due process.
To American citizens. To natural American citizens,
And
naturalized
what about-
American citizens.
Okay,
Someone happens to set foot in our country, if they're a terrorist, they're entitled to due process, as opposed, and we're not, by the way, executing them, we're deporting them, we're sending them back to their country of origin.
Yes, because that is what makes America amazing, is that you are innocent until proven guilty.
Where are you getting this idea that anyone who enters the country is entitled to our constitutional rights and due process? Where are you getting that?
People in the U.S.
But where are you getting this idea? In other words, that's not anywhere in our laws and our founding and our constitution that anyone who comes into this country illegally is entitled to due process and our constitutional rights. They're not. Where are you getting that?
In we the people under the U.S.
From other fucking leftists.
It is.
They are not we the people. They're not Americans. They're not allowed to be here legally.
But
Should violent criminals be allowed to vote on law that relates to crime?
Be allowed to have due process.
Why? Where are you getting it?
Because of the fact.
Aside from you feel that they should,
Fair.
what's the basis for it?
Because that's how the Constitution is stated.
It's not.
Is that the people
It is not.
of the U.S. Okay.
That's what I'm saying. So where are you basing it if not that?
Fine.
But the problem is you have people saying, hey, ICE are breaking up families. Hey, they're violating human rights, civil rights. Hey, you know what? Let me put it this way. And we do have to get...
Yeah,
if I believed that Joe Biden, if I believe what the left believes about Donald Trump and me as a voter, if I believe that Joe Biden was rounding up and killing white Christian men, if I believed that Joe Biden was a fascist, if I believed that Joe Biden was committing genocide, if I believed that Joe Biden was doing all of this, would strip us...
Then who do you think pulled the trigger? I mean, it clearly showed the man was, up on that building. I mean, I don't know who else could have pulled that trigger. I mean, if you think that, let me say this, if someone is in the crowd, how are you gonna, I don't know. Artie, we're not on the same page, my brother. We're not on the same page.
All of our foundational, fundamental rights and would never relinquish the reins of power or have a democratic election again, I'd be in the street with a gun. Those on the left believe every single one of those premises about Donald Trump and his voters. So do you understand why there's the violence?
Also, again, I would say that
just like the beliefs about ICE.
That is a generalization again, because you're saying every single one of the voters on the left, everybody on the left believes every single one of
a majority of people on the left believe that. They believe what you believe about ICE. These are men doing their job. A slight change in border policy, that little rationalization leads to violence. Just like Charlie Kirk was a fascist and it was engraved in a bullet.
So here's the other side. I absolutely agree with you that we should not be labeling people as necessarily things. They have beliefs. Okay. There are beliefs that I do not think Charlie Kirk should have been shot. Absolutely.
I know, and I know that, but too many on the left do.
No, absolutely. But I still believe that some of his beliefs were homophobic. But I'm not saying that he was a homophobe. And I think that's such a major thing that people have beliefs and we can talk through them about that. But
we can't though. We do have to leave it on this. We can't because we get killed. That's the point. When the left, when you say don't label, when people, and the left says tone it down from sitting at a table and having a conversation with anyone who will listen, because they took his life anyway and they tried to take mine. Only the left does that. No one on the left is afraid or has to have $250,000 worth of security to have conversations. We need to address the problem. It's the reason for crime stats. I agree with you. We should sit down and have conversations. That's why I'm having it. Most people can't because we get killed, and that's a fundamental difference.
I'll
let you close. That's just because I'm rushing this out. So.
Okay. I still disagree that, I still disagree that it is an inherently only.
I didn't say only, I said by and large. It's not proportionate. Far more violence from the left than the right. And the means of enforcement is violent. The means of enforcement from the left is violence.
I think there's also something to be said on the point which we won't have time, but that there's further oppression being pushed from the right on basic liberties, but that is more violence.
If we had time to get to it, I would, but taking away our guns, taking away our speech, taking away our kids if we don't transition them, that's the left's platform, and you find it from every single major leftist, Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, all the way down. It'd be tough. It would be a conversation I'd love to have, but they're booting us because they don't want me to get shot, which kind of makes the point. Chris?
I would argue that.
Okay. What do you guys think? So none of the videos from the different angles moves you to think he was shot from the back? But, okay, but he leaned back, right? I saw, it was a terrible video. But when he was shot, right, he leaned back. He didn't lean forward, right? you kind of move with the trajectory. You kind of move with the momentum. So from what I saw, he got shot and he moved like this. If I was shot in the back, I would move like that. Okay? That's what I would have done. The guy giving signals? What guy giving a signal? The trigger man with the hand detonator? The older man who was arrested? I don't know. Yeah, I didn't see no. This is a thing where, to be honest, I was not replaying the Charlie Kirk, gun scene like I was analyzing it, because I don't care, right? Let's say this, right? I don't care. I don't care who killed him. He was a man who was killed for what? The only thing you can think about is for talking. That is it. He was a man that was killed predominantly for talking, for doing this. So that they said did it has no training in the most obvious and open position. No training. I mean, again, I would say, are you sure? Because he come from a conservative family, a family that's really gun oriented. So most likely he probably, did hunting. They could have theoretically been involved in some capacity. I'm not sure. Everybody FBI component enough to find out. I mean, it is what it is. I wouldn't be surprised. Here's the thing. I wouldn't be surprised if there are some conspiracy theories with it. If there are some, but yeah, the shot had him moving backward, which suggested from the front. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the shot, showed the momentum. So, but again, is there conspiracy? Is there some kind of other shit? There probably is, but I don't care, right? I can tell you this. It means nothing to me. It means nothing to me because at the end of the day, here's a man that was needlessly, recklessly, stupidly killed for what? Nothing. He wasn't. It's like this man wasn't the president. He was mainly killed for just talking. So for whatever reason, whatever, right? I just think that, I don't know. It's just an idiotic thing. I don't know, my brother. I don't know. But, who knows? Right? I'm not here analyzing his gruesome death. So really, whatever. I mean, like I said, could there be something? Maybe. I wouldn't be surprised if there's some kind of, some conspiracy theory, but I don't really that intertwine with conspiracy theories because it doesn't, to be honest, right? If there was a conspiracy theory, what would it lead me? I mean, to be honest, what would it tell me? Did the right kill him? Because in my honest opinion, right? Why would Republicans and the right kill him? It didn't necessarily, I don't know, change the status quo. It's not like Republicans, are marching in the street to change anything. I believe Charlie Kirk would have been more valuable to the Republican, to the right for future. Right? This young man, 30, the guy was 31. I mean, he was 31. He could have been the president. He could have been the president. And maybe the next 10 years, the guy could have been a president. So I can understand what kind of conspiracy theory that would be fitting for it. I will say that if that guy did it, which I don't believe, he definitely was paid to do so, or was. I mean, who knows, right? Who knows? I mean, I wouldn't be. This is a thing where what I wouldn't be surprised, right? And I've seen this shit happen. Message boards, internet, right? I've seen this happens a lot. A lot of these people, they're online. They're talking to each other. They're conspiracy. They're planning shit together. So I wouldn't be surprised. John, gotta be 45 to run for president. Yes, okay, okay. In the next 15 years, right? In the next 15 years. So yeah, I mean, yes. Thank you, John. Thank you, John. But yes, I mean, he could have been on his path, right? To say that the next, I don't know, 10, 15 years of doing this political and, political run and all that stuff, he could be on his path to have been a president or some kind of big congressman. So, but it is what it is. I just know that the kid didn't do it. Who did it? I don't know, but I mean, whatever. Did it or not? Well, if 35, if could you 35? I thought really, if you could be 35 and the president, we should have younger people. I mean, we should have a bit more younger people try to run. So, but I don't know. All right, guys, that is it. That is it for tonight. I have to wake up early. I have to wake up early tomorrow. So, that's it for tonight. What do you guys think? Bye. Yeah, I gotta wake up early tomorrow. I'm going to a comic book convention with my daughter. I'm taking her to a comic book convention. So, I gotta wake up early tonight. But thank you guys. Thank you guys for joining. I know it's not like no spicy chat tonight. I know it's not probably like a crazy video tonight, but thank you guys. John, thank you for joining. Artie, my brother, big bars. Use your delusion. Thank you, my brother. Thank you for joining. Thank you for coming tonight. All right. Thank you for spending your time with me. I love it. There's an old saying: if you want something done, do it yourself. If the boogeyman deep state wanted him, you don't hire a Utah nerd. No offense. Could be. Who knows, right? Who knows? Maybe in, I don't know, 10 years, we'll find out some deep secret files, right? Who knows, right? All right, guys. I love you guys. All right. Thank you for joining. Thank you for checking out the live. Please check out my other videos, right? Please check out my other videos. Please comment on them. Please like them. If you could, share them. But thank you for the support. Thank you for the love. I love you guys. Right? I love you, my brothers. See you guys in the next live. Later, guys.